All right.
Got disintegrated, yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to DragonPoetSociety. I'm Nicholas, your resident DM, and we're going to be shooting in with another adventure of the Bloody and Beewildered here in our Lumoria campaign. Sans Nate, the Cackler, for now, and Renastus is calling in via an extended sending spell. However, hopefully next week we'll all be back together in person, making what we can in this crazy world. I'm just checking all the camera views. Let us know from home how our volume and camera views and all that are going. If you see anything weird, I'll do my best to keep up with it. But otherwise, without further ado, I'm going to just stumble right in, knowing me, to the recap from last time. So when last we left off, the party readied themselves for their forthcoming travel by pursuing what research they could with the resources available to them via books, lore brights, asking people they know, and so forth. They purchased several books and maps of the relevant to the upcoming journey, and also visited the Lorebright office to cash in their value from their Lorebright stone to have funds at the ready for their travel, both for the gate fees, bribery, which seems to be a heavy tactic from this team, and other whatever needs that they might come across. Using their map, the group discussed a few possible routes to encompass their points of interest, from Landor Hall, aka Flywatch, to Shadveer, Nerwal, and Ciravel, to cover not only their missions from the Shining Hand, but also to follow up on their own personal varying interests. The group also awaits a mask of disguise that they commissioned from the wizard Hasicles from the Cackler to avoid a noblewoman that he had pickpocketed, and also potentially other parties who seem to be interested in his whereabouts and, getting him under their thumb. After several turnings of a dry stretch, the Cloudcarver Conclave conjured up a veritable storm of rain that washed through the streets of Solni and set the drying stones to a myriad of rainbow-colored light. However, it was not all sweetness and goodness, as the group overheard, as many of the streets flooded, and the group overheard what seemed to be a mugging in process, and turned the corner in the Guildwater Stalls, the dock district of Solni, and came across what looked like just as an ooze of like gold and pink gelatinous material split itself in the alley and assailed both the thugs and their familiar-looking victim, as well as the party themselves. Noticing the rather unusual or intoxicating nature of the contact with the ooze, the group did their best to avoid its contact, but saw the two thugs get so intoxicated and seemingly addicted that they were willing to even try and bite the acidic ooze themselves, to understandably disastrous results. After a rather close call with Tennille, the group defeated the coagulants and saved the mugging victim, who appeared rather well off, all things considered. The individual was indeed familiar, and turned out to be Verum the Voice, a protester who the party had encountered once before, who encouraged cooperation between the Reaches. Apparently, as he thanked the party, he explained that he was attacked for his views that he was sharing, and that the Souls Guard did little to help him, despite seeing what was happening. He decided that he was going to, that Solni was deaf to his voice, and that his words would be turning other ears instead. With the Midyears turning around the corner, the group readies to rejoin with Renastus, who is off on his little own side mission, and enjoy the upcoming festivities, collect the mask on the following turning, and put the city at their backs as they begin their various missions. So, we return to the alley. There's sort of a trough of water, a little bit deeper because of the oozes burning through the cobblestones and stuff like that created that trough. You guys have sort of recollected yourselves, and Verum has departed after sharing what he had to share. So you guys are left there in the alley. What is everyone doing?
Do we want to go see that Souls Guard who specifically told us to bring in more information about the pink juice? Because I think this is more information about the pink juice.
Kind of like...
Come on.
And healing word myself.
Yeah, you're looking pretty worse for wear, including your armor and stuff, which got deteriorated.
That is a full 8 back.
Hey, there you go. Good roll.
Whoa.
Starting off strong.
Do you have any empty bottles?
Probably have a die.
If we can, with our mage hands, try to collect some of what's left.
Okay.
Yes.
Who has Mage Hand?
Both of
Okay.
us.
Well, why don't both of you go ahead and make a just straight spellcasting ability check.
Casting ability check.
So roll, add your modifier. See how well you roll.
24.
Wow. Great rolls, guys. Yeah, the two. While there's a more dispersed nature to the liquid and gelatinous diffusings and stuff like that, you're each able to get a sample. It looks like it's some kind of mixture of like, apologies if you've just eaten, but like all of us, coagulated vomit mixed with the gelatinous material. It is sort of a pink and gold, similar to what you guys saw with the gnome before. But you each successfully and safely attain a sample.
Well, that should have been 22, not 24, but...
Still a success. So, the two thugs who were mugging Verum the Voice are basically just like dissolved messes. Certainly there's remains to be seen, but it'd be hard to identify them.
We should leave very quickly.
Okay. Are you guys gonna try and so you guys head out of the alley into the main thoroughfare. At this point in the turning, it's kind of getting closer to end of turning, that kind of stuff. It's the end of the 90th turning. You guys are seeing a lot of people kind of turn in for the day off the docks and stuff like that. People coming off of boats or off of shipping or fishing runs. Dock workers and stuff like that starting to head to the various taverns and revel dens, things like that, to go spend their day's money. So that's kind of what you're seeing just in general. It's a loud bustle, which somewhat explains why you didn't receive immediate help when you guys were calling for it, but also how Virum explained his situation with the Souls Guard also might account for the rest. So, yeah. Where are you guys heading?
The man you guys talked to, I wasn't there, but...
Glintop Ward, First Barracks, the Ogun Starcrown. I have it in the notes where exactly.
Yeah, you had it right. First Barracks near the Faith Walk Way in the Glinttop Ward. Captain Ogun Starcrown of the Souls Guard. So you guys can go ahead and head that way. For the purposes of getting everyone back together. Slate, did you want to do something first?
Just before we leave, I wanted to check, are there store signs around us? So I can, point to the right alley if it comes to it.
Are there store signs around you?
What's on the outside of the alley we just walked out of?
Mostly warehouses, converted warehouses. What's a good portion of the Werewarrens, which is the region you guys are in the Guildwater stalls. Many of the warehouses have been repurposed for housing for all the influx of refugees. So it looks like there are, mostly it's those, but you do see the Welcome the Whale not too far away. It's like across the street and like diagonally on another block. So you feel comfortable that you'd at least have a reasonable shot of redirecting or giving directions to somebody. We'll say that you guys recollect Renastus on your way over. He kind of stumbles across you guys as you crisscross. He's heading back towards the main Whitewater Square region while you guys are kind of going across that way to head to the upper side of the Glinttop Ward. So you guys reconnect. Just sort of, Renastus, you can take it away if you have anything you wanted to particularly say, or do you just try and slide into the group unnoticed as much as possible?
I'll just slide in, kind of. Where have you guys been? What have you been up to?
Where in the name of Sil have you been? We just fought an ooze thing and Tennille nearly died. Look at him, he looks terrible.
Oh, he absolutely does. And I am going to cast Healing Word.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Thank you.
Everyone...
Give me 1 second, my D&D Beyond.
What's up?
Everyone else, yeah, and she's looking around. Oh, I guess everyone else looks fine. It's just Tennille.
Tennille the tank.
Makes a rude gesture at you.
She does it back.
Sorry.
The ghost of Donna.
The cackler is definitely trying to remain as hidden as possible, and is clearly like darting his gaze and stuff around. And he writes on his little chalk and slate and holds it up and says, "We should leave once I get my mask. I'm worried that they're after me."
Who specifically?
Lots of people.
Well, let's stay for the Midyear's turning. We'll get your mask. In the meantime, do you want like a scarf you could wrap around your face to make you look less like a bird?
Bingo.
She presumably has one already in her bag if she'll toss it to him.
Yeah. He wraps his he looks like a cowl, and you just see like a little tip of beak sticking out.
Well, we can't go anywhere with Tennille looking like this, and that's 6 hit points back to you.
Thank you.
He's certainly looking better.
My armor.
Your armor and clothes are still looking not good.
Yeah.
But at least in general,
Ooze.
I mean, it's not unheard of for Solnians to wear a little bit lighter clothing in general, because of all the sun and heat and stuff like that. And many of the revelers even wear some translucent clothing. But yours is more like less artfully shredded and more like, violently dissolved in pieces. So your aesthetic remains the same edgelord that you were before, which is good. But some of your pale skin is probably more visible to the.
Okay. I'm gonna try to use prestidigitation to at least clean off some of the ooze and vomit.
Yeah, at that point you've cleared that part off.
I may look like I have been through the shredder, but I am at least moderately.
If you take off your armor, I could give you some magical ones that could potentially make you look a little better.
Magical what?
Armor. Temporary for 8 hours, like what I wear. But I'd make it look more like you. It wouldn't be the bright colors, and as you blend in better, if you're wearing dark colors, Anetka, I don't care if you're 4.
Sorry.
I'm assuming this is walk and talk as you guys are heading to the Captain Star Crown. Are you gonna just keep with your armor for now?
It's only a -1 to my AC, so it's not too terrible.
Okay. So after it's several hours, and by this time you're getting close to like the end of the turning. By the time you make it to the barracks, just as a general description of the area, though, Faithwalk Way is a quite grand street on the northern side of Whitewater Square, and it features the large, multifaceted it features the largest of the temples here. Not only does it have the Library of Candles, which Slate has visited before, the tall, 7-peaked glass, or not glass, but rainbow prism-esque looking towers that create a sort of large complex of learning and research and general education. There's also the House of the Dawn, which is the Grand Temple of Sol. This is a very ancient-looking building, but quite not quite as nicely kept as maybe some of the other buildings in this region. And then the Hall of 13, of the 13 seats, also a very ancient-looking building, and also quite well-kept. This one has quite a lot of priests and stuff coming and going, including, most notably, someone collecting a fee to go in at the door. In the distance, you can also see the Mirror Forge, not too far from the Light Farms, off sort of to the more western side. The Mirror Forge definitely stands above the rest with its bright, shining, every so often pulsing lights that flash inside like interior lightning, indicate that forge is always up to something over there. But you guys make it over to the first barracks there in the Glint Top Ward, and actually bump into Captain Ogun Starcrown as he's making his way out. He looks exhausted and frustrated. He's got a couple notebooks slung over his shoulder, like Roman scroll style. You can see, Earth Genasi with the sort of raised and star constellation looking silver veins in his bald, otherwise obsidian and clay looking skin. He's kind of leaning on his hammer. He says, "Oh, pardon. Oh, may I help you? You looking like you ran into trouble. What's going on?
We did. Annette, by the way, I don't think I was there when you got this like
Greetings.
pink ooze, and the guys that were fighting it seemed like they were like in love with it, and that's why to me it looks like shit.
Ah, well, I see. Thank you for bringing this to me.
What we're saying is we think that the stuff that the pink tooths are eating is developing some inclinations of its own, and I'll pull out my vial and shove it at him like, here.
He looks at it quite interestingly, and you see his like arm twitch, and then he kind of lets it relax at his side. I says, I am glad that you have taken my words to heart and shared my interest. Unfortunately, it seems that I have pressed some of the wrong sorts of sources. My superiors have reassigned me to assist with the reduction of the city's petty theft, with the and checks on the incoming refugees, not to mention upcoming security tasks for the Midyear's celebration. So I'm afraid you'll have to carry on the investigations from now. But it is an unfortunate event. I would love nothing more to follow up.
To get such a reassignment.
Well, the last thing I was working on... here, why don't we step over to the side? And he kind of is like trying to shepherd you guys a little bit away from the main barracks entry, which is a rather low building, built in the sort of glimmering panels of the glint top ward. Sort of this yellowy stone that can be sort of... Those of you who are locals know that it can be reversed. It's like got a reversible effect to it, with to shine light as a defense to blind attackers to the city. But he kind of takes you off to one side as some Souls Guard are coming and going from the barracks, and he says, the last thing I can't talk about it too much, but at least perhaps you can take some of my notes that I've got. And he pulls out a few slips of paper and parchment and hands them over. Last thing I was working on was a few shipment logs, which also seemed to have suspiciously vanished, that dealt with several known properties of Folian the Fox and a few of his cronies who had a record. They were moving goods in and out of the city from Lunavir, as well as 2 dock records of shipments from the Sunswell Isles. I'm afraid that's all I was able to get, more or less. The ships belong to the Scovens, that much I do know. Silverwind and Lady's Luxury are their names, and he wrote them down on the slips of paper, which is what he's handing over. As for the southern-bound wagons, they're associated with some of the Scoven money-lending operations. At least one of them is bound for a menagerie store in Lunavir called Snarlsail, I think. Unsure about that one, but I was hoping to follow it up. But the reassignment came, and I was told to either accept it or be on reduced retirement for the rest of my life. I hate being taken out, and city's politics seem to be getting worse and worse. But maybe a disparate party like yourselves might be able to follow up on something like that. Anyway, supposedly the Snarlsail group seemed to sell quite a different motley than old Fresk, and his store, was it called? Quiet Quippers and Quandaries, I think was his here in the city, but Snarlsail's supposed to carry a different sort of creature, if you understand me. Maybe not quite as friendly as what might be local pets here. But
That source in Solni.
the Snarlsail is in Lunavir.
Okay.
But I can't be seen discussing this or have this come back to me until things lighten up, if they ever do. But I wouldn't mind if you're able to keep me posted via letter or something like that. If you tell me of some of your operations here at the city, at least, I might be able to swing something. Get a local raid or patrol going that just happens to help you guys out in some way. So keep me posted if you do manage to follow up on further leads. I think you should certainly follow up what you found here, and those samples look disgustingly fresh. I'm not sure that I can offer much more help, though. I apologize.
Hey, Lou, what did you see when you were at the gate? Didn't you see somebody trying to smuggle something?
Yeah, but what they were smuggling was writhing and hissing.
Like a pet that one might sell in a horrible, horrible pet store?
It seems that you have more leads as well, so if you're able to follow that up, it seems like I'm not surprised that they're able to smuggle and get through the gate agents without too much worry. Wealth usually goes pretty far as things like that go.
And what were those ship names again?
Silverwind and Lady's Luxury. He wrote them down on the pieces of paper that he handed. I guess it would have been to Neil because he's kind of the person he's interfaced with the most before.
I have them written down.
Whoa, I've never heard of those ships.
Make a history check.
Well, you rolled well.
To a dirty 20.
Nice. You've heard of the Scovens, and while they don't have as much widespread trade on the like a seafaring side of things, the Scovens are loaded. Everyone that you would have associated before would have been like, yeah, if we're able to get anything from them, it's a big deal. The Scovens control all the money lending in Solni, so they collect quite a lot of interest. Their Resisena Scoven is the tithe keeper and on the Glimmer Council, so basically in charge of tax and stuff like that in the Radiant Reach. So big deal. The ships themselves, you haven't heard of Silverwind, but you know Lady's Luxury is generally, that's regarded as an easy, I wouldn't say easy, but it is regarded as a prime target that rarely leaves the shoreline, the coastline. Captain Blackmist hoped to knock it over one day. It was supposed to be quite a luxurious pleasure craft, and more like a yacht kind of situation. So not high on defenses, at least overtly, but hard to attack something like that right on the coast. So occasionally, after bribing a few, dockmasters for shipping records and stuff like that, Captain Blackmist might have been able to get some logs or something like that about it, but that's all you've heard.
Okay.
So, but otherwise, Captain Ogun says, I appreciate you coming to me with this. As I said, I won't be able to associate too much directly, but drop me a line if you're able to. Preferably before anything goes too far to hell. But I understand that not always is that reasonable when dealing with trade of this nefarious manner. Unfortunately, Solni doesn't seem to regard recreationals as dangerous, even ones like this. Or at least right now don't seem to be the primary focus given everything else that's going on. But I have personal experience with the Morkazis and Sursand trade, and this seems to be less gentle than even those days. Like I said, I wish we still had Aurelia with us, but now we don't even have me, so good luck to all of you. And he kind of, with his cane, wounded leg, hammer combination, that he sort of trundles off. Looks like he's heading to the less nice part of the Glint Top Ward, which is still quite nice, but as a captain of the Souls Guard has a personal house that he's heading towards. That's not too far from the barracks.
Okay.
I'd make sure what I remembered I'd tell everybody else too.
Okay. So maybe the Scovens. And what Blackmist would have found at the end.
Oh man, that's a nice ship.
Maybe we'll rob it later.
I'm going to steal it.
We should steal the boat.
Maybe we should not talk about stealing boats in the street.
Next to the
barracks.
Yeah, we're being quiet.
I'm gonna give my vial of vomit to Renastus, because I don't know what to do with it.
It's like vomit plus ooze. The ooze was like partial coagulated.
Thanks for the healing, Grandpa. Here's a present.
Oh, well, thank you. And he'll open up his jacket, and there's vials of all sorts of disgusting stuff, and he'll just nonchalantly stick it in next to the other ones.
We could refrigerate it in Galen's house next to the dead rat.
Oh, we should go take that Uncle Galen's gonna kill me.
Well, we'll keep it there for now. You never know when you meet a dead rat.
That's
I
true.
mean,
I literally can.
Yeah.
So you guys are heading back to Uncle Galen's, the Kelnor Manor now, as the turning comes to a close, or is there anything else you guys wanted to do on the 90th?
While we're talking, so this might be completely off base and totally weird, but you know how none of us had ever heard of drops before, and then multiple times we had offers to put them in our drinks, and then suddenly there's also this new drug. I mean, it could be completely separate, could be... It's weird, right?
Had I ever heard of drops before?
You had not.
Okay.
It's weird that none of us...
Although you do remember the smiling gentleman warning you guys against it when you were... He said take no drops in your drinks when you guys were at the theater.
Right.
Yeah, but that's odd, right? Like, I mean, frankly, we all do crime here. Like, it'd be weird if there was... Even if it's something more than fancy people, that this new drug just shows up on the street suddenly, but then this new other thing shows up in people's drinks. Again, could be unconnected. I'm just been turning that over in my brain a little bit.
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, if it's a high society kind of drug, that would explain why old Star Crown got kicked off the case.
Maybe the high society folks are getting the better version, and the throwaways and the stuff that isn't as pure or good is going to the rest of us.
Or, you know, folks start high society, then they start getting addicted and plummet down.
So,
It does seem quite insidious for a recreational drug.
if
If it did this to you, I'll gesture at Tennille's situation.
Hole in my back.
It's more like a patched burn scar now.
Yeah.
Also, this ain't no normal dragon. Light comes after you.
Yeah.
Why?
That
Can we not?
So what monster? Like, it seemed like pot drug, pot watery. Is there anything like that out on the open seas?
Make a general intelligence check.
Slay, were you trying to say something too?
I was just
Not that you've ever encountered. And it seemed more gelatinous than watery necessarily. Like, as I said, coagulated whatever this material was and mixed with the regurgitation of these other individuals. But no, you've not come across many things like that. So
This would be a first.
yeah.
Let's not see
You
that
do know
again.
some water elementals, some sea salt elementals live, in the deeper parts of the ocean and stuff like that, but this definitely doesn't resemble that.
Yeah.
Slate, what did you have?
So, I was just going to say, if it seems like these things got washed out of the sewers when it filled with the rainwater, so would that mean somewhere in the sewers there's more of them? And or home base? Or are they just dregs that fell into the sewers and came up?
Because all of them are hiding out down there. Yeah, if there's more.
Tennille just gets this very far away look, like shell-shocked, kind of stared. Let's not go look.
Oh, let's not go. Or it could be people, what's it, the word? Refusing into stuff that drains into the sewers, and maybe they're being...
Oh, it's a puke? Yeah!
Yeah, it was literally like a puke plus.
I was thinking like dangerous Laffy Taffy, but sure, we can go with puke.
It was a mixture of that plus like a gelatinous pinky gold material similar to what you had seen around the gnome and stuff like that. So it seems like it's a mixture of the two rather than just pure one or the other. Just for clarity's sake.
Not vomit.
Yeah, good times.
I'm deferring this armor.
I mean, prestidigitation goes pretty far, but there's only so much you can do. So you're like, as long as you're downwind of Tennille, it's not too bad.
I think before we leave the city, I need to
We're not downwind.
replace this.
Yeah. You also need a bath, I'll be honest.
I need a bath. I know I need a bath.
Yes.
Okay. So you guys head back to Uncle Galen's.
Yes.
Are you knocking or just going straight in?
We'll knock, since
Okay.
it's been the habit of late.
takes a little while, but Lutheus does pat over and says, "Oh, what happened to you, cousin?"
A vomit ooze in an alley? Is your father home?
No, father is not home. He's busy with quite another series of meetings that have gone late. Although I did prepare supper for him. In any case, perhaps a bath before we discuss anything further?
Yeah. I'll just kind of walk in and go up towards the bath.
Okay. Lutheus does have a somewhat gone cold meal, enough for everybody. That it's nice, some kind of grain with a honey sauce in it, and some asparagus.
Thank you, Lulu.
Lutheus, really, but I'm glad that the meal went to you. I tend to make a lot, leftovers aren't bad. But I'm worried that father hasn't come back yet. But in any case, what about this puke ooze? What's the situation there?
Tennille nearly died. Is Tennille still down in the baths?
By this point, he's come back out and has cleaned up and stuff like that.
She would actually message that. Tennille nearly died, but he probably won't admit it. Be nice to your cousin.
I'll just come out. Yeah, I think I nearly died, and and then no, so we're not I'll tell him
The situation.
The situation with the pink juice. Yeah, I'll fill him in, and everyone else can help.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad this Virum character survived, and that all of you came out of it well. It's disturbing, to say the least. I've not heard of anything like this. I mean, I've studied oozes, of course, but
you studied oozes. That could be very.
Well, yes. I mean, I like to. Uncle likes to keep. Our father likes to keep quite a bit of. I was looking at you, so it threw me off. Father likes to keep us broad in our knowledge, but nothing like this. Certainly, mine. It seems to have exhibited something similar to an ochre jelly, which could split. Sounds like what this happened here, but otherwise, I'm not sure. Certainly, no. Addictive property or anything like that is indicated there. So that's something to be worrying about, particularly if they're coming out of the sewers. But we did get a lot of that rain, so perhaps something backed up and washed back up into the streets. Hopefully this is the last of it.
I suspect not, but have you heard of these pink tooths? Heard anything?
I have not. Nothing has reached my ears, although I don't really... I've been keeping here. Mostly I want to make sure Father has a nice place to come back to. He's so busy, and I, as his personal assistant, I really try to do what I can to make his life easier and enhance some further topics of study, all the while caring for, Mr. Slimy and, all the other things that require running the house as befits a man of Father's station.
Where's he now?
As I said, I believe he's in one of his later meetings. They seem to have gone long, but I know he's been meeting with a few of the Glimmer Council members and some other interesting members of the minor houses and other key factors, individuals who he associates with who may not be as well disclosed. In any case, if you're all ready to turn in, I will be cleaning up. I wouldn't mind some help with the dishes, but, thank you. I appreciate that. You guys clean on up and have a good dinner.
Flo will, use, shape water to just, rinse everything. Really
fast. Well, I suppose that's effective. You're handy to have around. Well, that's good. Thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
Don't mention it.
Okay.
It's a joke. You're fine.
And he kind of sort of wrings out some of his hair and heads on over to his chambers as well to turn in for the night. So you guys are heading back in and kind of slumping down for the night.
Do we want to plan or do we want to sleep?
I really like sleeping.
Flo's really tired.
We could plan over breakfast in the morning.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I don't think is there anything anyone needs to do first thing in the morning, or could we just lazy brunch, holiday, maybe some shopping?
That's
I
good.
have everything I need, so I might just sleep in.
Just need to.
Cackler writes down, staying inside, don't want to risk being sighted during parade.
That's fair. Do you want us to get you anything from the festival?
Pick up your mask.
He writes, that's the next turning.
Okay.
So, but he'll pick it up himself.
Okay.
Get me something. And then he says, honey.
Well, I mean, it's this one for that. I don't think there are many beehives in the middle of the city.
I'm sure we can find some honey somewhere.
What does it have to be honey, or would like a sweet pastry do, or?
Sweet pastry do?
Okay. Well, we'll get you something sweet.
There's a house of lard. Is there a hut of honey?
Only
Honey hut?
you'll have to find out. You'll have to find out.
Baker's Row. It's just everything you need.
But in any case, you guys turn in for the night. And are you guys doing any watches or anything like that, or are you just keeping to the safety of the house?
I think we're probably okay in the house.
Okay.
Tennille feels safe in the house.
That called do her thin yarn alarm, but probably across the front door of the house.
Nice, smart.
Cool.
Otherwise, you guys turn in. By the time you get back, Bria and Nadia have already turned in as well. They're kind of snuggled up together.
Then
So
she'll go and sleep in with the rest of the party.
yeah. So you guys get long rest benefits. Sleep and all that goes just fine. And we start with the 91st turning. So you guys come back to a morning, sort of start of the turning situation. You guys have slept in a little bit, you know. It's been a hard couple of days, a lot of shopping, really tough on the life, plus the nearly dying situation. Altogether kind of has really knackered quite a few of you. Flo and Cackler are still recovering from their experiences that they had at the hands of Arcturus and then Folion in the Brimstone Den. But you guys feel refreshed, and on this sort of turnover holiday experience, you come and are awoken, or rather not awoken, but you come down to a main atrium hall set up courtesy of Bria and Nadia with quite a lot of nice decorations, sort of in the more traditional style. They have what looks like an assembled and balanced interior ribbon pole with different two-sided ribbons, one of like a gray and one of like a light blue or white. Several tapestries which depict dragons on them. It seems like it depicts Alvax, the twinned dragon, who is rather commonly celebrated during this time of year, as well as a few other more southern favored deities, or ones who are given a little bit more respect outside of Solni. So in the case of that, one of the things is also the work around the Remembrance, which is a holiday that's... Midyear's Turning is a combination of several holidays, including Alavax's Turning, St. Ord's Day, and Remembrance. So St. Ord, obviously, is for St. Ord, the deity, who's sort of the lawbringer and stuff like that. They haven't really done too much for that, but there's at least a sort of balancing of scales on one of the symbols, like a balancing scales. One is the Alavax, the twinned dragon, is known as the dragon above and dragon below, and it's kind of about the balance between potential for destruction and evil and the potential for virtuosity and good, or virtuous nature and good, and striking a balance between those two. And then Remembrance, which is something that Bria in particular would be keen to celebrate, and is emblified by a tapestry that they seem to have woven together personally, that shows the suffering lady Duro lifting off a heavy burden. So kind of a triumvirate of different things, and they've seemed to prepared like a sweet cakes and strawberries and cream kind of breakfast situation as they say, "Happy Midyear's turning," celebrating the thing sort of in a more colloquial sense. It's quaint and simple. You can tell all of this is like homemade with nice materials that they've purchased locally. They hand out scales, little what look like stylized sheets of metal in carved to look like a dragon scale, and it's like a dark gray on one side and a light gray on the other side. This is, those of you who are local would know, this is something that's part of the celebration. Is during the Midyear's turning, they somehow change color for you, and it's supposed to simplify if the second half of the year is going to be better or worse, depending on if it goes dark or gray or light. So you guys each get one to hold on to as sort of like a, here, good luck, blessed New Year, Midyear turning for you, all of you. Good luck, Nadia's like all happily handing them all out and stuff like that. And Bria's sort of like, carrying, her burly muscles are being put to use carrying like trays of strawberries and cream and tea and like nice amenities for the celebration of the New Year, or the Midyear, excuse me. So you guys tuck into a very nice morning meal. So you don't have to worry about rations or something like that. Your waistlines are quite full and your sugar levels are quite high. As you wrap up the meal, and Bria and Nadia say, or Bria would say, if you want, we are going to go to the parade pretty soon and see. It seems that I'd be interested at least to see if it's supposedly the Radiant Archon herself is making an appearance, and I would be interested to at least see that and what they do here, although I feel it might be somewhat lacking in tradition. And Nadia's like, well, now we're in this new place, we might as well adapt, and we're not in Bright Meadow anymore. We have to kind of come to the city customs as well. But if you would like to join us, or if you have tasks on your own, I understand. It's totally okay either way. And I know that all of you are quite busy with whatever you have going on, so I understand.
I mean, I do got a little more shopping to do, but I feel like we can do that when Sharps goes and picks up his mask.
I don't know that I want to be walking around the city without armor, so I would probably try to do my shopping today.
Smart. I appreciate that. I really understand how that feels. And she kind of tucks in her like nicely. She's got like a woven sash over it, but it's like you can tell she's wearing like reinforced leather with like metal plates underneath. It looks like a brigandine type armor.
Oh, I nearly forgot. And Echo start pulling. There's little double knit squares, double sided with it's the gray. What's the other color? You flip.
In the case, are you talking about for your garment?
Yeah. Well, like what would like the inside of her? Like you flip the garments. It was like gray and then something.
In your case, it was I think it was gray and the blue.
Okay, then they're double sided gray and blue, and they've got people's names knit into them, and she hands one to each of them, including Bria and Nadia. Then there's one for Lutheus and one for Galen, wherever they are. That's little, it's not quite, but happy Midyear's turning!
Oh, this is lovely. Thank you so much, little weaver. I think I like you did a good job here. I really like the technique. Very neat, very neat.
Thank you. He's a kid on Christmas morning. I really want to go to the parade. I've never been to a Solni Midyear's turning parade. Anyone want to go to the parade with me? Flo, have you been to a Solni Midyear's turning parade?
I'm always down for a party. Let's
go.
go.
Let's
go.
Okay.
So you guys head on out.
Daniil,
you gonna go straight to shopping?
I wanted to see if Uncle was home before I left.
Okay. Yeah, you can go.
If he is, I'm gonna go ask him an uncomfortable question.
Okay, so you go up. Again, you find him in his office, and you sort of, even before you like raise your hand to knock on the door, he's like, enter. And you see him again, extraordinarily haggard, extraordinarily tired looking. Again, he's got sort of like the duplication paperwork, like bureaucramancy going. With the quill that he's writing seems to be, there's several others writing in unison. It looks like he's copying out some documents and affixing a seal and that kind of stuff. His normally organized desk is rather cluttered with lots of scrolls and official-looking envelopes and documents. Yes, Daniil, I understand you had some kind of scuffle in the streets. I trust that it did not, that it will not carry over to further problems.
No, it was more that we were trying to save somebody and a vomit ooze attacked us and nearly killed me. And I'll kind of give him a rundown of the pink tooth stuff, a very abbreviated version.
Okay.
And
He,
then-
he kind of pauses what he's doing and looks up and is like staring at you intently. Well, I am glad to see that you are intact and well. It seems that whatever this was, it seemed rather dangerous, more than we realized. But I'm glad that you are well and you have brought it to my attention. Is there anything else?
Well, my armor was damaged badly in the fight, and I was wondering if your offer of a small loan still stands, so that I can perhaps get something a little bit more robust than what I was formerly wearing.
Make a persuasion check.
I should have cast invincibility on myself. That's a 13.
I understand, but I'm not a financier for adventuring extravagant and foolishness. I have funds to put towards putting out fires and coordinating rather numerous troublesome inquiries at this local time, as well as a few other expenses that have recently cropped up. I believe that if you wish to secure a loan, you could, of course, go to one of the Scovin Loans and Lending stalls. Otherwise, I suggest that you make do without additional expensive armor and rely instead on a different approach to danger.
Like, just like, he's like really trying to stop the eye roll, and it's like, worth a shot, and I'll bow and I'll head on out there.
So you head on out. No such luck, unfortunately. He seems pretty pushed, and reading between the lines. Go ahead and make an insight check for me, actually, while you're there, just before you leave.
Oh, that was really good. That's 21.
Yeah, you get the sense that he's a little worried about. He's worried about you, but he also seems like he's worried about not financing you, but just money in general. He seems to be tighter than what he would like.
Okay, good to know. Alright,
And
then...
the mention of when he mentioned those new expenses, like a little bit of a strained
Okay.
look to him.
Fair enough. Then I will, when we're out, I'll just hit up a leather armor and get another set of hide armor.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to find one. It's sort of, it'll be kind of in the midst of things. It's a little harder with a lot of the businesses either closed or,
Right.
stuff like that. But you're able to find something. Let me look up something really quick. But it'll kind of be towards the southern part of the city and later part of the day that you're able to make it there, given how slow it is to move through the crowded roads and streets of Solni during the situation. So the hide armor is going to set you back 15 gold.
Oh, it's got inflation.
Inflation.
Yeah, things are a little bit more expensive right now, particularly defensive gear and armaments and things like that. Yeah, so you're getting some expense inflation for sure. In any case, as you guys are heading out, you begin to see some of the celebrations. It looks like there have been fanciful floats of St. Ord and Alavax and Duro paying unusual service to their belief systems. Alavax is perhaps the most representative of these three, but there are some additional ones as well. So first float that you see, and it runs around the major large streets through like Jules Ward. It basically goes around the larger streets around Whitewater Square. So down like the Scovin Way that divides Jules Ward and Guildwater Stalls, and then Revelry Row, hitting up like Tradestone, and just like circling around. So as you guys are seeing this, you guys can stop and look more, but you are seeing a numerous series of floats. It seems like they're spending some extra time towards Revelry Row region of things. But the first float is a strange and rather austere-looking one. It is built in what looks like iron and draped in a curtain of what appears to be like chains or cuffs, but on closer inspection seem to be ropes and woven and painted to look like bonds rather than actual clinking chains. At the center is the statue of Saint Ord, the Lawbringer, once a mortal man who rose to godhood by bringing laws to the lawless. The bald statue wears proud robes of justice and bears an open book in one hand and an upright sword of truth in the other. Kind of reminiscent of like Lady Liberty in the UK, or in the US, New York. But in any case, you can also tell that the crowd's reaction to this float is rather mixed. It's sort of like, oh, yay, golf clap. It's not the big celebration. But there's also something unusual there as well. For several large candles, each about 2 feet tall, are placed in 7 colorful points around the edge of the float. They're burning dimly just below the curtain of painted rope. And soon the rope sort of catches fire, and the candle's flames and the chains are sort of burnt away. And this flame leads back to St. Ord's statue and sears away the form of the man with the book. And all that remains is the iron pillar that was at the center of the old statue, and upon it are written many small words in tan writing. And the flames of the candle seem to sort of flicker into the rainbow color ever so briefly before winking out and dispersing. And the crowd definitely appreciates this much more. It's kind of showy and exciting and less austere, which is not really the Solnian style of things as they look on this particular float. Like with the unorthodox float to St. Ord, the next one is to the bearer of pain, Duro. It's also a little different from what tradition might call for, those of you who are more familiar with the religious traditions of Duro. This one has several stage-like platforms set into 2 conjoined staircases going up like this, almost like the sides of a pyramid, that lead up to a tall pole with a bell and a furled cloth at the top. And each platform seems to have increasingly heavy weight bars laden with progressively heavy weights. So they're taking the bearing of pain and weight a little bit literally, and it's like a weightlifting competition on this stage. So you see different people progressing from each level of this ziggurat style pyramid as they're lifting, getting all racing one another basically to the top by lifting these weights and getting cheers four gold on this guy, 2 gold on this. You're getting the whole betting and situation as people are making a display for the masses, and the masses are seemingly enjoying it. In the end, to the cheers of the crowd, a powerfully built dwarven woman with simply enormous muscles reaches the peak platform and lays her heavy weight on the lever that, at the top, like at a carnival, sort of sends a bead to the top of the pole and causes the banner to unfurl. And as it strikes it, there's a bell that rings, and it says, the banner says, "We will not be burdened by the shadow." So again, kind of repurposing a little bit of the branding, so to say, or the religious traditions that are set. And if you're still there with Bria and stuff like that, you can tell she is not particularly happy at this particular depiction. She's kind of grumbling to herself and looking away and stuff like that. She's not making an overly aggressive stance, but she's definitely not thrilled. And she's one of the few. For everyone else, it seems very "Rah, down with the shadow, yeah, freedom!" Kind of celebrating that achievement. As you're seeing this, the next float to the twinned dragon is a masterful piece of cast metal and carved wood. It looks like it's designed to be in the shape of the dragon below, that aspect of Alivax, with serpentine heads writhing about in colors almost too dark to notice. And the tapestries of the shadowy dragon below sort of flap ominously in the wind and bring sort of a darker breeze with them, and tendrils of the heads sort of spreading over a green countryside in the image. But upon the rolling base, there are many acolytes that appear to be in dark robes, thicker than what Solni and weather would usually accommodate or allow. But when the as it comes to a rest near this, where the train of floats is sort of stopping by Revelry Row and by the Guildwater Stalls and the Saltpole Canals kind of region, it seems like the float stands with a dark shadow that sort of whirls and twists in the Solnian sun, and you see in a ritualistic fashion the hooded acolytes light a silvery flame and in a brazier at the bottom and pull on these hidden strings. As they do, the form of the dragon on the float begins to twist and bend and expand, and the metal cables twin together and converge the heads into a single one dragon head, sort of a diamond-scaled dragon in the place of the dark multi-headed serpent that was there before. And so too have the tapestries and the clothes of the acolytes seemingly changed on their own. And reveal a proud dragon above in sort of silvery white with blue, and seems to represent sort of the soaring over the majestic green field in the tapestry. So you guys are sort of seeing different representations. That one's a little bit closer to the traditions and the reversed clothing and stuff like that. And as you do, we're going to have everyone who got a scale, so all of you, go ahead and roll a d20 for me. Roll for Nate. Oh, Nate's not there, I guess, but Cackler still got his scale, I suppose.
Just sitting in a room.
Okay.
4.
Okay.
19.
19. Pronostis?
8.
Okay.
11.
11. So, Slate and Tennille, your scales turn a nice, pleasant light gray, and you're filled with a good fortune in a fortune cookie. You feel like, we got a good luck in the forthcoming mid-year's turning. Flo, Anetka, and Renostus, however, given your recent experiences, perhaps, depending on your personal beliefs and how much you want to put stock in something like this, it's a foretold of you're going to have a harder second half of the year than you had the first half of the year. So maybe with some of your recent experiences, recent side quests and journeys and experiences, maybe that's more ominous than you might like, or maybe it doesn't matter to you at all. But that's what you're left holding in that particular case.
Netco turned to the other two. Well, as Mum used to always say, destiny is bullshit, so let's not put too much stock into it.
Amen, Bria says.
You see Flo cast something behind her shoulder.
Clang, clang! You just hear, oh! And somewhere you hit somebody with it.
Wait, is it kind of like the scrap metal I got?
Kind of.
Would I feel like I could make anything out of it?
Possibly.
I'll stand there and be like, and then and go grab it.
Hey! There's a older looking halfling. He's like, that really hurt my temple.
She'd be like, oh, sorry, and kiss a little boo boo and grab her thing and go.
Well, happy mid-year's turn. But yeah, you recollected. Next in the parade, you see what seems to be what first looks like a miniature cathedral built on wheels. Just this vast architecture, but on closer inspection you see what the grand float is done in the style of the 13 seats, with 13 thrones, each with a god or goddess seated among a dozen of them, and the final seat beside Sol being empty, or just below Sol. The seats and statues are carved from stone and adorned with precious metals, and most of all, each are adorned with a real small lumen, actually radiating with a miniature sun already on a sunny day, kind of adding to the bright light of the situation. Almost hard to look at directly, given the shimmering off the various metals and the scales and stuff that are in the crowd. It's an impressive sight, and with the towering seated figures sort of projecting an aura of strength and their lumen crowns banishing even the thin and timid shadows that dare rest in Revelry Row and along the Solnian light band. Last, and perhaps least expected on this mid-year's turning, there's a grand float to none other than the masked reveler. Though the reveling god is not usually celebrated on this day, and is instead settled on All Revels' Eve, its float seems it is clearly the grandest of all of them. Streamers and silk dancers swing and fly and swoop on wings of shimmering light off the float. There's great gold tinged in shadow that rains down on performers between a twinned grinning mask that is the backdrop to this like roving and shifting stage. The gold seems to pile and burden down the performers until angels clad in grinning masks with smiles upon their wings come down and pull away the burdened performers and lift them up out of the burying gold. As they rise up, it bursts into riotous colors with the gold kind of showering and the performers reinvigorated, having their inverted double-sided clothing from when they came up to be full of grinning masks and cheery hues that are translucent and often emphasize their nudity in the sunlight in profile against their thin clothing. Obviously, this is rather well received by most of the onlookers, and the crowd's cheers are loudest of all for this float, and the performers continue several routines displaying pretend battles with individuals wrapped in shadow, shadecloth, tricking and pranking, masked dust devil soldiers of Shadvir, like tying their shoes together and pushing them over, and that kind of stuff, and that they're sort of somewhat barbed humors towards the south. All the while, they share their allure with people both high and low, sort of enticing and reminding them of the existence of all these revel dens in which to spend their gold. Statuary of naked nymphs and fountain, a dark purplish wine, which amidst the performance, the performers are catching in various clay mugs that they're producing from somewhere, and passing them out to various individuals closest to the float who are knocking it back into a few lucky find actual gold and silver masks at the bottom of their drinks. So, Slate, you're tallest and would have the longest reach. Go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
Oh boy.
Netka's looking at her shoes, trying to, there with her parents.
Yeah.
6.
6. You get a cup of wine. It's like purplish and stuff, but it doesn't, alas, no precious mini mask made of silver or gold at the bottom there. However, obviously this floats passing and pausing when it's done with its performance, and sort of the remaining ribbon dancing certainly has drawn a lot of attention and affection from the onlookers. Past each of the floats is, a real float. A hovering large disc of pure solid gold that glides over the streets 7 feet above the ground. Atop the wide and flat disc are a quintet of familiar-looking guards, those you've seen at Whitewater Square, these gold masks that stand in their strange, rasping, metallic cloaks and bear rods that are each capped with a cup of pair hands that seem to catch the sunlight somehow. In the center of the disc, raised above her guards, is a matronly woman clearly still in her mental prime despite the iron gray in her hair. The radiant Archon Yaila Illuvinet is adorned in rich robes of pure white and wears a trio of miniature lumens, each the size of an orange, that bathe in her brilliance as a crown, like a triumphant crown. Archon Illuvinet looks weary, but smiles as she waves to the crowd, a glowing band of pure golden light as a ring upon her left forefinger. Beneath and trailing behind the disc are numerous food carts with guards and 13ers, priests of the 13 seats, handing out wrapped food packages to the people of the city. And amidst this, Yaila speaks and projects to the crowd, her voice magnified 100-fold by all of the crier stones that seem to share her voice as they open up in their mouthed shapes, those little obelisks on the sides of the streets. Today, on this mid-year's turning, my fellow citizens, we must recognize the plight the citizens of our radiant reach have had to contend with, and we must remind ourselves that our spirits shall never succumb to the southern shadow. And you hear, "Rah, rah," from the crowd as people are drinking in her words. She kind of waits for them to calm, and she says, "Let Solni care for your needs. With food to be distributed every 8th turning in our city's new Food for All program. You may all rest easy with full bellies behind our safe walls. To the shades of the south, I say this. The truth of these flicker attacks will come to light, as all things must. The shadow will be brought to heel. All the priests of the 13 and our hard-working mirror blades have quashed and closed these leakages of darkness into our beautiful, sunlit world we've worked so hard to build. No Solnian spirit can truly be dimmed by this darkness. And again, he's rah from the crowd. Radiant reach forever, Solni above all, the light prevails. Many of those who cling to the darkness beware, for those who do not join the light are surely stained. We are the answer to the toxic shadow. We are the light that never dims. Enjoy and join us here together, fellow Solnians, fellow Radiant Reach folk, here on this Midyear's turning. Thank you for being here, and for all of your hard work during these trying times. Enjoy the festivities, and may Sol's light reign over all. And her disc continues through the crowd and soars over, and she sails back closer to Whitewater Square, but she's still visible, and it rises up as she kind of oversees and overlooks all of the spaces as she is overseeing many of the other mirror blades and 13ers, the priests there, handing out all these different food packages to a surging of refugee-looking folk, worse for wear citizenry and individuals living in the harder parts of town who are eagerly accepting these free meal packages with fervent abandon, and very grateful for the celebrations. So you guys are sort of enjoying that, and amidst that you see very numerous hustlers and carnival barkers selling fair food and funnel cakes and all sorts of varying festivities, and this continues throughout the day. There's plenty of little carts and spaces to enjoy buying little knickknacks and little mini tapestries that you can flip back and forth between the two sides of the twinned dragon. You can try your luck again with a better scale, an Alavaxian scale, if you want. You can get different two-sided masks from the revelry folk. Plenty of revel dens are seeing open business at this time, and it sort of disperses into an overall citywide major festivity as the floats have sort of come to this location, and they're continuing to hand out food to people in the Salt Pole canals and the Werewarrens and Guildwater stalls, and sort of seeing that all in the context of the tri-lumen-crowned Radiant Archon overseeing it all in her golden disc above all of this. So with that, we'll continue the festivities and what you guys get up to in just a minute, as we are going to go ahead and take a quick break. So those of you watching at home, don't go away. We'll be right back in about 10 minutes. Alrighty,
I
and
don't know what you expected.
we are back. Welcome back. We just finished up watching the floats from the Midyear's turning celebration, and the party is now in the middle of a celebrant city with fair food and different stalls with novelty items that you can buy, and a very crowded overall street region here on the 91st turning of the second shard, as we are about to roll into the third shard here. So what is it that everyone wants to do during this period of time? Are we just seeing the sights, enjoying getting some food, any purchases you want to try and make, either during of the celebratory kind, or the would your character like to buy some fair food, some luminade, as Flo called it, and
Neil's totally buying lemonade.
and some funnel cake, or quipper on a stick, or that good old fair food fish. Oh, what a great delicacy!
Deep fried.
Yeah, deep fried fair fish. It's a Solnian delicacy. So yeah, what do you, or else, in the case of Tennille, did you want to search out any more options for armor, or did you want to just buy the 15 gold hide, or?
I would maybe want to see if there's somebody who could repair my old armor.
Okay.
That could be a potential. But before we would split up, I would kind of, I think it's a touch spell, grab kind of on the shoulder, Blue, and it's not a touch spell, it's 30 feet. Flo,
Still grab her anyway.
Renostus and myself, and cast Aid. So your max hit points go up by 5, and you're healed that much for the next 8 hours, just in case.
Preventative.
Just in case.
All right. Very nice.
And then, I guess maybe see if I can find somebody who would be willing to fix my armor, because I'm going to be cheap about it.
Make an investigation check. While she's doing that, what's everyone else doing?
Annette go find a funnel cake venue. How much are funnel cakes?
Well, the funnel cakes here are quite excellent. He's got a very broad, sideburns into beard situation, so his beard is just like a trough in front of him that slants very angularly away from his face, human guy. Well, they're 9 copper if you'd like a small, or if you want enough for a whole family, there'll be 1 silver and 6 copper.
Does anyone else want funnel cake, or is it just going to the bed?
Flo's gonna slink up next to you and be like, hey.
Hey, would you like funnel cake?
Mm-hmm.
I think enough for a whole family.
All right, put up your money. Let's see it.
It's one silver.
6 copper.
Yeah.
It's only slightly larger than
I'll
normal
pop
sized
over
one.
I'll pop over the silver.
Okay.
But it looks like it's a funnel cake. It seems like it's got some maybe caramelly sauce in it of some kind. But yeah, pretty good.
Remember, we're saving some of this for the bird, but we can. So, Sage, have you ever tried funnel cake that you remember?
I was actually going to say, can Slate have snuck off before?
Sure, that's fine.
Slate?
Yeah.
Guess it's
Well,
just me and me.
snuck
Yes.
is a relative term, but you're able to part. You're able to part the citizenry sea there as the tall Goliath that you are. So yeah, but you guys are enjoying your funnel cake and
Ren?
got some.
Ren, you want some?
So call me crazy, but
Crazy.
do you think the House of Lard might have some, maybe, I don't know, deep fried sticks of butter or something like that?
I mean, you don't know until you ask.
I'll save my appetite for that. Thank you very much.
Okay, just you and me, go.
So you guys enjoy it. It's very sweet, but the cream seems relatively fresh and quite nice overall, as funnel cake fair food goes. So you guys enjoy that. You are able to find the little House of Lard, and indeed they have some deep fried butters. So you can have some deep fried butter on a stick. Not too far from Fruitman Dan, who's also doing a bit of a brisk trade, and a couple other sort of it looks like a little like bakery stall that's got other little confections, what look like little sun cakes, fruit and all that kind of stuff, some meat stands, all that kind of stuff. So you're able to get, the foods of your choice. I'll let you guys decide what you find. Let's just say it's about a silver a person for the type of fair food that you guys are getting, if you're getting that, and get some luminade and enjoy some of that as well. While you're there doing all that, Slate, we'll get to you in a second. What was your roll? 12. So it takes you a little bit of time, largely by virtue of the fact that many of the stores are closed and stuff like that. But you do find a rather grumpy-looking wood elf woman. He's like, looks like you're not taking care of this very well, but I can repair it. It depends on how soon you need it. You got the adventuring look to you, so understand time is of the essence, right? If you want it by end of turning, that'll be a crisp 7 gold. But otherwise, you can pick it up end of turning tomorrow for 5.5.
Do I remember what time we wanted to leave tomorrow, or what time the Cackler's mask was supposed to be done tomorrow?
Just that it was on this next turning. I don't know that you were necessarily aware of the exact time frame.
Mid-turning tomorrow for 6 gold.
Make a persuasion check.
Nope! That's a 1.
That one, or?
No, that's a 3 minus 2.
I think we'll stick with our previously agreed 7. I think is just fine.
Oh, man.
Okay, so definitely seems like an extortionate price, but such are the times, and your need is dire. So begins working on that as you hand it over and things like that, so you can pick it up same time roughly as Cackler gets his mask and all that. Otherwise, Slate, you peeled off from the group. What are you gonna go do?
I'm gonna go find my boy Cassiel.
Okay. It takes you a little while. Almost separated from all of the festivities and stuff. No rest for the weary worker. You find the Planky Pint Inn, being reconfirmed with, or sort of renovated and combined with Cassiel's care tent. You see Cassiel barefoot in his sort of stained, priestly-looking robes, and he seems to be caring for quite a few individuals, treating what look like a lot of people who, a lot of people's feet, washing them down with a kind of maybe like an alcohol or like a salve or something that he's wrapping them up in. Treating a lot of people who have what look like kind of trench foot situation from all the flooding and stuff like that. Many of the people here had to deal with maybe not clean water in their living spaces and things like that. So he says, "Oh, Slate, it's good to see you as well. See you again. Happy Midyear's turning. There's plenty of work being done, of course. The recent rains caused a bit of a mixed blessing, but there you are. What can I do for you?"
I'm just checking in, saying hi. I'm gonna be heading out. Don't know if I'll be coming back.
Oh, well, I'm happy to hear that you're moving forward.
Thank you.
I'm sorry if you won't be coming back. I would very much like to see you again, and your friends too, should they earn a warmer welcome.
That would be good. But just before I go, and I'll, are there people watching us?
You draw a decent amount of attention. You see Gretchen from behind the bar, kind of bustling about with a few things. It looks like she's fetching and boiling some otherwise kind of dirty-looking water to get clean water for Cassiel and stuff like that. It looks like they're kind of working together a little bit more. But you're not drawing a ton of extra attention. Most of the people in there need treatment and are more focused on their own condition.
Okay. So if that's the case, then just before I head out, I gotta make good on what you've done for me. I'll hand over a pouch, and then I'll just wave him off and say, "All right, Cassiel, hope I see you again," and I'll leave.
He stands up and he surprises you for a second because it takes you a while for your intuition to kind of kick back in. But he does sort of a two-shoulder. He reaches up and does like a two-shoulder pat, and then grips crosses his forearms and grips like around the elbow. And it's a sort of Skefmurn sort of farewell greeting of like equals.
Would I know to respond as such?
Yeah, you would know.
Okay, then I'll do that.
And he says, "Farewell, brother, and I think you have earned a strong place, and I hope you find the answers that you're looking for. Thank you for your gift." How much money was it?
4 plant.
Wow. He says, "Thank you very much. I will put this," and he kind of puts it away, but he gives it a quick glance, and he says, "Thank you. This will go a long way. I will spread the word that it came from your you and your compatriots. What are you called? Do you have a name that you will be known by?"
Well, it's a funny story, but you just call us the Beewildered. Don't worry about it too much. Just run with it.
I see. Well, I appreciate your whimsy, my tall friend. But good luck and safe journey to you. May soul's light shine ever in your heart.
I'll tip my non-existent hat and be on my way.
All right, very nice. Yeah, definitely 4 platinum towards the Salt Pole's most well-liked guy. We'll probably go a good distance. You definitely notice there's a lot of washed-up garbage and kind of briny seaweed clinging, drying salt and crustingness to the Salt Pole canals with, like, washed-up trash and stuff as you're going through, and you would have had to have gotten, like, a river skiff or a canal skiff. So that would have set you back probably a good 5 copper. But otherwise, you're able to make it there and back without too much trouble. Your big size goes a long way to avoiding like direct confrontation in that part of things and stuff like that. Who knows about more subtle ways of vengeance or whatever. But hopefully your recent donation and kind words will help ease some of that as well. So amidst all of this, you guys are able to kind of enjoy several hours worth of festivities, and it's getting to that point where it's like, you've been at the fair for a good few hours, the food and the noise and like all this stimulation of the senses are starting to like rack up, and you're feeling a little like, could go for a lie down, could go for another funnel cake that we'll get later. But is there anything else that you guys want to do while you're out and about here celebrating?
Is there anything suspicious looking amidst all this happy, fair time?
Make a perception check. Yeah?
Yeah. 21.
21. All right. You do actually see something rather suspicious looking as you're heading back towards the northern side of the Guildwater stalls. You see what look like a couple people kind of going back and forth around an individual who seems to be sort of like whispering and like cupping his hands and whispering and stuff like that. And it seems like they're all like nodding along or being like, "Oh, okay, wow, interesting. I didn't know that." Kind of like dispersing around. He looks like he's kind of like kind of young-ish. He has like a weird, almost like a lazy eye kind of situation, or something about his left eye is a little bit unusual. It's hard for you to tell. And otherwise seems to be sort of gesticulating and stuff like that also, while he's getting more like amped up. Various people are coming and going and stuff like that. He's kind of looking around kind of towards other people, but definitely looks like he's whatever he's doing, he's talking up a storm to the passers-by who stop to listen to what he has to say. He's got kind of short sandy hair. It's kind of curly. Sort of a tanned Solnian complexion.
Can I is there an easy way to sneak up near to where I could hear what he's saying?
Sure.
Without being seen?
Yeah, you can do that. Go ahead and make a stealth check. At the moment, he's actually not talking to too many other people. By the time that you've rolled up, it seems like the last people have done that. But what'd you get?
7.
Okay, so you sort of stumble around and stuff like that, and you unfortunately trip and spill some of your luminade on the cobblestones there, and he's like, "Hey, watch it! Oh, hey, you're a adventurous-looking one. Got a few friends around and things like that. Anything you're interested in hearing some news, hearing some hot tea and goss?"
That slate's not there.
She'll swirl her lemonade and like a side eye him and be like, "I'm interested," and like take a sip.
Yeah. Well, it's not all sweetness and light here. They put on a good show and whatever, but things are a little bit nasty in certain parts of the nobility and other parts of the city. They say that the Scoven boy, Hector, he was shouting and vomiting everywhere, sort of desperately clawing at anyone who could give him more. The Scovens paid out some seriously heavy bribes to cover it up, stashed the boy someplace in their manor. No one's been doing much of anything about these pink tooths or whatever, whatever they're into, but word is that they're getting into the city from some of Scoven's business dealings with Lunavir. So, keep an eye out if you're going to be dealing with some of that, and, spread the word. Scovens are messed up.
Do you know this from personal experience?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty well informed. You probably haven't heard of me. I keep my profile low, but my ears, perked up. I know what I'm doing. He's like really trying to like laying it on thick and stuff like that. You can see his eyes. Go ahead and make an insight check. You can see his left eye. It's not a lazy eye.
Perfectly honest.
It's not like it's a lazy eye in that it like is off to one side or something like that. But it is sort of almost quivering a little bit as he's talking. So you're noticing that. It's sort of heterochromatic. He has heterochromatic eyes, and that eye is like a piercing green-blue. What'd you get on your insight?
Solid 4.
I mean, you're eating this up. You're like, oh man, wow. I have no idea.
Distracted by his eyeball.
Yeah. He's like, just spread the word, man. Spread the word. The Scovens, they're stingy bastards. We gotta get them where it really hurts. Their reputation, But don't tell them anything about me or anything like that. It's just good, bad rumors for them, but good for us city folk. And he kind of like claps you on the shoulder and then like kind of trundles off.
Can I check my pockets and everything to make sure I still have everything?
Sure. Make a perception check.
No. 18.
18? Yeah, seems like you still have everything intact and things like that. Why don't the rest of the party make a survival check?
Ooh.
Daniil?
6.
6. You lose 4 gold.
I should have just bought the armor, damn.
Oh.
As Marius pickpockets and individuals, bustling crowd, you're jostling with lots of people, it's easy to miss. Renostus.
17.
Alright, you're okay, you keep a hand on your purse.
22.
You're fine.
9.
9. You lose 3 gold.
Okay, so I have no gold.
Yeah.
Is
So
there a very thickly crowded area?
everywhere you're going is a thickly crowded area, more or less. But the Guildwater stalls and the Salt Pole canals are the ones that are the most crowded because they have the highest influx of refugees. But the streets themselves are quite busy during the celebration. People are going and getting fair food, they're seeing revel dens, they're watching the performances on the floats, and things like that. So it's pretty busy in particular. Is there something that you're looking for specifically? Are you looking to do some pickpocketing yourself?
Maybe.
Yeah? If you want to try, go ahead and make a sleight of hand check.
I'm gonna keep one coin in another hand so that I'll drop it and be like, "Oh, is this yours?"
Okay. Go ahead and make a sleight
I'm
of...
pickpocketing them.
Yeah, I understand. Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check.
Oh!
Please tell me it was a natural one. Please tell me it was a natural one.
Yeah.
You know, that scales luck might not have...
Can I try acting really drunk?
Okay, so hang on. So you don't pick your targets super wisely. I don't know if you remember, but there were the Heirs of Iron, the 5 Goliath party that signed up for the Lorebright program when you guys were waiting in line. And you creep up to one of them, an individual who has like a almost stained, like wine stained, I don't know if you're not sure if it's a birthmark or some kind of tattoo around their jaw. Otherwise shaved head with like stippled little iron bits in it. And you like trip into him and your hand just like slaps his purse and it goes like cling as it like circles around his belt loop, and he just like grabs you and lifts you up to eye level because this guy is like 8 foot. He's as tall as Slate. He's like just shy of 9 feet, and he's like, "Are you trying to get some of my money?"
No, I was just drinking whatever this was. It's really good, you wanna try?
Make a deception check.
Bail flow out of jail.
12.
I don't like this northern piss. Piss off, and he kind of like shoves you to the ground. You actually take
Okay.
5 points of bludgeoning damage as he like power shoves you to the ground.
The 5 buff that you did.
They're not temporary hit
They're not
points.
temporary hit points.
It is actual health.
So you get the sense that it was like a casual shove from him. This dude is like built. So where Slate is like a lanky but muscular, like whipcord kind of muscular, this dude is just like chucked in all directions. And you see a female Goliath not far from him. Like, "Come on, Redjaw, let's not even get worried about it. This stuff doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. You didn't lose any coin anyway." And he's like, "Rrr." And he goes, "Puny," and kind of just like strides off, like stepping over a pair of gnomes.
Nice to meet you, muscle man.
So no coins for you,
No.
but you did avoid being too severely roughed up, and perhaps you feel like you should evaluate your targets more carefully next time.
Annette will go
You do notice. Sorry, go ahead.
and sort of pick her up off the ground.
Yeah, get her back on her feet.
Thanks.
Yeah, we need to have a talk about you being more streetwise. You know, you didn't grow up like, God damn it. And she looks at...
You see like a kid, a young boy, like a young half-orc boy, being like, "Ha ha ha, yeah, I got her!" Just like weaving in and out of the legs of people. But you do notice the heirs of Iron seem to be heading towards Whitewater Square, like with purpose. So
I suppose that might be karma, I'll be honest.
Gotta recognize game.
Yeah.
Don't anger the red dot, dude.
Did you need someone to tell you that?
So is a power shove something I can do? Because that was kind of...
he's just beefy. That was an unarmed strike.
I guess that's how a hard mind would hit. That's fair.
Yeah. In any case, though, you guys are able to enjoy as much of the festivities or as little of it as you want, stopping off on a store here or there. But otherwise, we can come to the close of the festivities for the party. If there's nothing else that you guys wanted to do as far as visitation or things like that. In the end, it's a pretty exhausting affair, but you enjoy, it for what it's worth. Each to your own varying levels, and seeing the speech and hearing the telling words from the Archon, keeps you thoughtful with your forthcoming missions to the Shining Hand as you head south. But you guys all turn in exhausted back to Kelnara Manor, unless you guys want to go somewhere else.
Just down the way, Cole tells me, it is more fun at the parades when you're actually watching them and not just pickpocketing people, I'll admit.
Fair point.
So you guys make it back with your purses considerably lightened by the crowd, but otherwise you're able to just take a solid rest and things like that there.
You got your funnel cake.
You just kind of like tearing into it, and then he looks at Flo. Pick any pockets today? No.
Oh. I'm in adventuring group. The big beefy boys.
Big beefy boy.
And don't pickpocket those ones. They'll just like leave without any explanation.
Oh,
Like,
God's
okay.
church now knows how to say big beefy boys.
Why would you give Nate this power?
And it's beefy, but I know why.
All right. So, you guys turn in. Were there any things that you guys wanted to peruse or research from your books and stuff like that while you're resting? Otherwise, you'll be able to enjoy a really solid rest. Galen doesn't seem to come down or join in any of the festivities or anything like that. But Lutheus has prepared a nice dinner. Again, some local vegetables and stuff like that. It's even got a small bit of what seems like beef of some kind. Maybe some bright meadow meat before it got in its situation that it had, that you guys were all too well familiar with. So you're able to enjoy, again, don't have to deal with like rations or anything like that, especially between the fair food, and you guys are well fed. But
Thanks, Lulu.
oh yes, well, I'm glad you were able to enjoy the festivities. I did find the words of our Archon rather enlightening, interestingly so. But otherwise, I think there's not too much, attending parades and all that over here. We've got lots of work to do, and all the more things to catalog, some movements and maps and all that. But I hope and I trust that you all were able to indulge enough for those of us who had more studious things to attend to.
I didn't intend to, but can I say that I got him a funnel cake while I was out?
Sure.
It was like 1 silver.
It was 9 copper for the
copper.
personal one.
I'll pull it out and kind of.
Well, I am trying to watch my sugar, but I do really appreciate it. So I have a weakness for funnel cake. So kind of, that only comes around twice a year, and he's kind of like scarfing it down. Yeah, he's getting his fair food game on. So all right, so you guys are turning in for the end of the turning. Like as I said, anything you guys want to do as you're resting in or whatever? Yeah.
Read books.
All right. What books would you like to read?
Go ahead, you first.
Okay, so first a question. As far as the Gaffer guys are concerned, is it something I'd want to read now, for example? Or would
Say again. Sorry.
Like the Gaffer's guides to metal repair and fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to read those. Is that something I want on hand as I'm trying to repair something or fishing, or do I want to read them now and?
It's a mixture as you peruse. Certainly in the case of the metal repairs, there's quite a lot of helpful diagrams and stuff like that would be useful in situ. But that also allow for assessment and stuff like that for damage and potential repair. And is something that lays a groundwork that you could potentially improve on with further reading and other more advanced texts to actually be able to start designing and crafting your own stuff given material. But you can definitely start studying it, and the more that you study it, we'll do some rolls, and you can maybe start improving some skills and stuff like that over time.
Okay.
As for the fishing, it covers some fishing techniques. It also covers certain bait that might be helpful in different areas, as well as some local fish to avoid in different parts of the world. For various reasons or things like that. So that's kind of what it gives you in general. So was there one that you wanted to take a look at in particular?
Could I read one of those and also the Untitled World Shaper? We've read some of that.
Sure.
Just not all of it.
Sure. Make a general intelligence check for the Gaffer's Guide. Which Gaffer's Guide are you going for?
As it's currently relevant, potentially, with the weapon, metal repair.
Okay.
You said intelligence?
Yep.
It'll be 20.
Yeah, so this lays... That's a good roll. This lays some good foundation work for being able to do that. You can make maybe a little metalworking mark, and mark like a success of some kind, however you want to do that, but like a progress towards that kind of thing. And you feel like you can easily assess different types of damage, some different ways to keep armor and weaponry cleaner and sturdier, with whetstones and reinforcing tools, but also oils and things like that. So you get a general basic gist. This one obviously has less to do with culture, but more to do with function. Unlike the fishing one, which has some locational stuff that's related to what it is. As far as Unknown World Shaper goes, we had talked a little bit about what you had read before about some of Ashold Kratok's work on the Duovian Great Reach. How it has some clear lineage, Kronosa's ancestor Chronovasa, the original city of Solni established as a far western outpost of the Great Reach. Over this next turning or two that you've been resting here, you also see numerous pieces of strong evidence tying the Great Reach into Sanctus today, including the original Temple of 13, which established the roots of the 13 seats in Sanctus's pantheon, though this is somewhat confused as it also originally held a strange hall of 34 pillars, smaller than the other 13. Piecemeal facts tell you that the Duovian Great Reach is named for the Duovian Great River in its region, and that once there were rivaling peoples who fought from its eastern and western banks. This is a thick tome, so there's more to do, but that's kind of what you're, in addition to the knowledge that you gained thus far, that's kind of what you're adding on to your repertoire there.
Gotcha.
Who else is reading what? It's Neil.
I was going to pull out my Gaffer's Guide to Translation and the 2 books on the Elutia I had been working on and see if they, the translation guide can help me a bit. And then before I sit down to study, I'm going to cast Enhance Ability on myself for intelligence and kind of
Okay. What books on the Elutia did you purchase?
I didn't purchase, they were in the library at the house.
Ah, I see.
Those 2. Before we leave, my last chance to look at them before we leave.
I see. Okay. Go ahead and make an intelligence check.
16.
Okay, so the Gaffer's Guide to Translation, like all the Gaffer's Guides, kind of written at a basic and introductory level. For all that, it's quite functional and helping some groundwork for language dissection and understanding various runic and calligraphic alphabets. Also gives some historical references to influences on the cultural tongues and various spreadings or lack thereof of different languages in Jia's lands. Jia is Jhia, is the name of the world that Lemuria, the continent, is held within. It includes numerous racial languages: Dwarven, Orc, Draconic, Elvish, Primordial, with separate entries for Orin, Aquan, Ignan, and Terran, as well as Giant. Also has some entries for cultural dialects and languages. Common in Lemuria is known as Ovic, and has roots in Old Duovic. These are references. There are also references to Odheimic, which is sort of a dwarvish orc giant conglomeration based common, which is spoken in Skefmir. There's also Haimont, an archaic language based in Orin and Celestial, which serves as a common language in the Far East, and Sakirko, which is the common language of Kosakara to the west across the sea, as well as Old Verdun, which is the root of modern Elvish, with origins from Sylvan. It's this last that has fallen out of use, but is particularly since it was written in its written form, involves a textural component, as it was traditionally inscribed in pieces of wood, twine, or stone, and the height of various characters can change the meanings of their words. This is why it's really hard for you to get the maximum out of paper and, bound books on the various texts in the Elutia, because most of those are written in Old Verdun. Ovic evolved in parallel. Haimont has very few entries, just a passing reference to, spoken by the travelers of the Far East. Ovic evolved in parallel with the birth of Sanctus from the roots of the Old Duovian Great Reach. References to the ancient tongues of Draconic and Giant have remained much the same, as befits these elder races. There's little and less remaining of the old Dragorian Empire in this part of the world, although a few Dragorian shards exist in pockets, and they often have varying delineations on Draconic. Of these, of course, there are also the Iron Whalers of Frozen Terra and the Lizard Folk, who speak Draconic. Kind of talking about all these different language, morphological stuff. Obviously, I went to town on all the different cultural things that I can sneak in here. But you're getting some information about that as a whole, although with the giants, one note that you're making coming south is that there's a small Goliath population in the Shaded Reach, which has kept the language alive in the southern parts of Sanctus. Odheimic and Skefmir as a whole are rich with giant culture, including a broader use of their language. However, given their isolation from the Sanctarian Barrier Mountains, it has less bleed over into the tongues of the rest of Lumoria. But you feel like you might be able to at least help open them and look to maybe a written piece of giant or something like that. I mean, obviously, you can consult the 6 linguists that are in the party.
Obviously.
But you also yourself feel like you're gaining some better context. Applying that to the texts that you find, go ahead and make a general religion check.
That is in. Aha! It's not great. 13.
Okay, so applying that, trying to make sense of some of the old Verdun, you don't make sense of too much of the terms that are bespoke, but you do get a general gist of that there is this second type of Aleutian practitioner who seems to carry more of the magic with them where they go, particularly in natural sites, rather than being linked to one particular natural site or ancestral location that they are resonant with. Often these individuals undergo a kind of vision quest. There's something about seeking the lamps or earning your lamp that has to do with this. And it's a little bit confused. You got a 13, right? Mm-hmm. So overall, it's got some references to that. And also talks about, like I said, the vision quest and stuff like that. But also talks about a correlation, more or less, between the strength of this bond and the number of natural elder nature sites visited. So, things like the Baorian Giants is one term that you see, which is reference to a large wood in the far east of Verda. Things like that. So the more big sites of natural places that you see, the more connection you'll be able to strengthen. It's kind of the sense you're getting.
Okay.
So, all right. Anyone else?
You.
Okay. Flo's gonna go over to Ren. I'm assuming Ren's in here. Okay. She's gonna sit down on the floor next to him, whether he's in a chair or whatever, and just be playing with her pistol. But then she's gonna look up at Ren and be like, Ren.
Hello?
Do you understand? And she'll raise the pistol to you and just describe all the things she's been trying to figure out about this gun and see if you have any insight as to how it works.
I'll pick it up. Give me just a second, and I'll set it down and lay out my tinker's tools and maybe spend a couple minutes with it. And I don't know, Nicholas.
Go ahead and make an intelligence. Go ahead and make an intelligence check, and you can add your proficiency bonus with Tinker's tools.
That is an 8.
Okay. I mean, you're more focused on the potions and alchemical mixtures kind of side of things. The one thing that you do recognize or notice is that their powdered lumen is having some sort of both arcane and chemical reaction as part of the firing mechanism. And it seems like what you would notice with your skill, your notice around photosynthesis, it seems like there's some kind of light-absorbing mechanism that's sort of dormant, for lack of a better term, in the pistol. You're not sure, it's not really your area, and you would know that the cackler might have a better sense of how to improve such things. But we'll let Nate kind of play that out in his own way when that comes to. But that's what you get from that. Unfortunately, not the best roll, but still some knowledge, in his sphere that Renostus is able to apply. So that's what you get there.
I would have to watch you use it some more, perhaps, but it seems that the accelerant behind it is both chemical and magical, and I'll relay the other details of what Nicholas said.
Yeah.
Can I Flo's gonna be can I use your tinker tools for a second?
Oh, I don't know if you want to be messing with that. It's
I've used
very
them before.
dangerous.
puppy eyes.
How about if I'll let you use them, but I'll stay here and watch just to make sure nothing catastrophic happens.
And Flo's she's proficient with Tinker Tools, so she's gonna like try and look at it a little more in depth than she's been able to before, since she doesn't
Great.
have those.
Yeah, go ahead and roll as well. Go ahead and roll and add your proficiency bonus. It's an intelligence check.
Add. Okay.
So your proficiency bonus, which is
yeah.
+2 at this level.
Yep.
In addition to your intelligence bonus.
So that would be 12.
12. It's a positive mark, so that's good. You can go ahead and mark a success. Opening it up a little bit, you can definitely tell this thing has a whole second barrel beneath the first that is, again, like dormant, for lack of a better term. Like it needs to be activated somehow. But you also seem to have a better understanding of how to craft things that might be useful as projectiles. You also notice several lenses that seem to be, in addition to the absorbing factor, seem to be some kind of like magnifying or mirror amplification or redirection of light on the inside of the second barrel.
Cool.
So that's what you notice.
Thank you. And just like hug him and give him the Tinker Tools back. Don't tell anyone.
Cackler leans over. Don't tell anyone!
I like punch him in the shoulder.
Does that feel him?
Big beefy boys!
Oh no.
What have you
What
done?
have we done?
Alright, who's next on any other things that you guys want to read or look up?
Yeah.
Really fast.
Once Echo kind of be staring at the doorway. Well, once you're done with that, Ren, you know that plant you got at the magic store? I don't think we ever figured out quite what it does. You want me to do that?
Oh, if you could, that would be excellent. I think it's just cute, even if it does nothing. I'm taking it with us.
Oh, I mean, absolutely, though that is a lot of money to spend on just a potted plant. The plants are lovely,
I'd
of course.
spend more.
I fully and completely believe that.
But please do.
Okay, so they'll set up an identify ritual around the pot of awakening, and then finally strike a match, burn some yarn over it, and look at the ashes, and cast identify.
Nice. You, this is already gone through. It's it's the pot that's the magical part, and it a normal shrub that grows over a 30 turning period in this pot is transformed into an awakened shrub. It's however, it seems to be set so that it can be done recurringly. The shrub obeys the commands of the individual who holds or owns the pot, and will even fight for you in combative situations. Can be a little bit of an assistant. There's a stat block for it that I can send to you, Anostis, should you be ready to risk the pot, risk the awakened shrub. So I'll send that to you here down the line. But yeah, that's basically what it does. It's a wee little thing. 10 hit points kind of deal.
This is just as Nick is saying this, he's just like, oh my god. It's awakened and it will fight for me. Just head over heels.
So I will send it. Go ahead. I'll send it to you there. Here.
But
You're gonna have to help me come up with a name for it.
Oh, I'm very good at naming things.
So, well, you guys.
What they say.
Mr. Tenderleaf or something.
Okay, Mr. Tenderleaf.
Oh, no, don't let her name things. Oh, gosh, no, don't.
Yes, but be careful with it. Only an idiot would go out adventuring with a pet and not have a plan for it.
Rough. Previous campaign reference right there. Anyway,
I had a plan.
any last
Or making fun of myself there, but I mean, you can take offense if you want.
any last research or stuff like that before we move on to the next day?
Yeah. So Renasus will take a moment and put his Tinker's tools back out. And could you remind me of the color of the scale?
The scale? Yeah, so yours came up light gray, I believe. Did you roll?
No, dark
Oh no,
gray.
so yours went dark gray, like dark storm cloud gray.
Okay. So Renostis is going to take off the bee that's been pinned to the lapel of his jacket, and he's going to spend some time tinkering with it, just humming along as he's doing so, tightening a bolt here, loosening a bolt there, and he's going to reinforce, what is it, the thorax? I should know this in front of animal people. The thorax?
Which
Bees
part?
have a thorax.
Yes.
Yes, bees have a thorax.
The chest part. He'll use that scale to reinforce the chest part, and he's also going to incorporate that citrine that he picked up while we were out shopping, not last session, but the session before.
Okay.
And towards the end of it, he kind of puts his hands up and looks at it, and the wings start to flicker, and kind of just go back to rest. And he'll put away his tools, just pleased as can be, and pin it back onto his lapel.
Cool. I love it.
Love it.
One other thing, Ren, you probably wouldn't have shown this to other people, but at least coming away from whatever you were off doing, you are also given a pair of glasses woven from threads of what looked like from a frayed sheet and hair that looks disturbingly like similar to yours, that you were given as like a token. So, but in any case, you feel successful in your attempt and now have a little buzz bee, little bee friend. All right, so you guys wrap up this next turning here and get another night's rest and enter into the third shard, which is sort of like a quartet to the year, third quartet of the year, and rise on the first turning of this new shard. Having gone over the mid-year's turnover, you are now ready to pick up your various things. For the sake of brevity, unless there's something you guys want to shop for in addition, the Cackler gets his mask at Hassocles', that from Hassocles, the Calisan's Curios. He makes a brief mention saying that, well, I'm happy to see you all here again, and I do have that mask you made on commission. It's a rather mundane disguise to help you pass through normal sort of things, and I think it'll serve you quite well. That Artemis gal, she did come by, and I gave her a further once over. I was correct that it was indeed a Gaius spell of high proportions. I was not able to break it myself, and she was most distraught. She said that she would do whatever it took to get back at the people who did this to her, and said that she would remember your aid as well, although she seemed to snap at me a little bit. I don't mind telling you, it was right disturbing, that with that strange mask of hers, all lopsided grin like, seemed to be dissatisfied with what I was able, the services I was able to render. But just thought I would let you know. I believe she was leaving the city. Said that she couldn't make ends meet as a scarred reveler no more. No one would want her. That sort of thing. Unfortunate conclusion, but I just thought I would let all of you know. That way, it's all on the up and up, as we're close associates now. And let me know if you find any amphithol secretions, so that I might be able to, work my way through this whole toad situation.
Can do.
Did she give any description as to who it was?
Well, I believe part of her, the Gaius that she was under, that spell effect, laid a compulsion, or rather a lack thereof, of highbrow, arcane prevention of speech as far as being able to talk onto such a thing. The interesting part was that it seemed to be lasting for so many turnings from when I first saw her. It indicates quite a sturdy level of arcane capability who laid it upon her. However, I should mention that whoever did it with what I would say is rather not a finite or a fine refined skill, but rather a heavy hand for instance, being able to explain that she was under some kind of compulsion. Someone who thought it through a little further might be able to lay a higher level of prevention upon her speech. And allow her to disclose any kind of hints about what might have happened, even that which little we discovered ourselves.
Has she already left the city?
I do not know, but I know that I spoke with her before the celebration, and she seemed to be rather intent on her flight, as it were. I don't know where she might be having gone, but no doubt I wish her a speedy recovery. I truly do, truly do. I was very distraught myself that I was unable to help her without all the threats that happened afterward, even. So I thought I would just pass it on. But here's your mask, and best of luck. May it serve you well, and remember when it does, it was good old Hassicles that made it happen.
Like, at some point, I'd like to go buy a healer's kit with party money.
Yeah, that's what I was just for, like, oh yeah, we can do that, so.
Okay. Are you just buying one?
There are 10 uses, right?
Yep, there are.
How much are they?
I'm looking that up right now because it's amazingly not something that I have memorized or saved.
I assumed you just had the whole player's handbook memorized.
That would be helpful. They are coming in at 7 gold.
Yeah, just one, I feel like.
So you're able to pick that up, no problem. You pick up your repaired armor. It's done passably. It's not pretty. It's kind of patchworked a little bit. So it's got some like brown rather than just the black hides that you tend to favor, So not pretty, but functional.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
That looks fine.
Serviceable.
Yeah, but one for fashion much.
Did we pick up your bullets? We did.
Yeah, she had picked it up already.
Yeah, for these guys.
And this is so. Should figure out a first step. I know we talked about it previously, but I was looking over some of the notes I took when we were with the Shining Hand, and she pulls out a scarf, and there's a weird combo of knits and pearls. She did say she did specifically want us to go to Narwhal, every time.
Go to the narwhal.
Go to the Narwhal. She did say she wanted us to go there specifically. I know we were thinking about avoiding it, but I just,
Well, we were thinking of, let's have this conversation somewhere off the street and not, out in the open.
I was picturing we're at Galen's.
I don't think we wanted to avoid Narwhal. I think we were a little nervous about Lunavir because Folian is there, but it sounds like if we want more leads about the pink tooth, we need to go to Lunavir, and I don't want to go to Lunavir. But maybe we could do a Narwhal, Flywatch, Shadveer, Lunavir, Solni loop.
Just a V. And if we wanted to, we could maybe see if we could send a letter from somewhere outside of Lunavir, maybe to Brody. Feel like he probably knows all about what's happening, and have him meet us not in Lunavir.
Maybe. But I mean, also, the Shining Hand did seem to imply that she is really interested in those lemons, and that would require going to Shadveer first. What does everyone else think?
So it would be.
Do you have the map?
I do.
Sony, Flywatch.
Bestie, where was it that you wanted to go? Oh,
No!
Not the trees!
Not the trees!
This earthquake was
I
massive.
mean, if you're asking where I want to go, it's just a feeling, but I'm thinking it's somewhere like You see this part of the map? Now double it
Yeah.
all the way over there.
So pull out the map of Lemuria and it's all the way around.
So it's. I mean, you know, check out Narwhal, all that jazz.
Could, since we're on a bit more of a. Your thing, as far as you're aware that there's not like a. You have to do this like in 10 days or.
No, as far as I know. Just getting weird dreams.
Maybe
Solni, Flywatch, Nerwell, Shadvir, Southeast?
That southeast bit might be after we find you, like the lumens and
Yeah.
for Solni and do all that.
yeah, so maybe Solni, Flywatch, Nerwal, Shadvir, Lunavir, Solni.
Also remember that Flywatch is the sort of semi-derogatory term
Right.
from
Right.
just when you go there,
Yeah.
perhaps. It's known as Lander Hall to the
Lander
Southerners. But this map was done by Solnians, so it includes those kind of names. And I believe Flight of Fairfeathers, when you purchased the map from her, indicated that some of the map, particularly in Lemuria, is a little bit less reliable the farther out from Sanctus that you get, because it's
Right.
harder to get accurate map conglomerations of that. One thing I will point out, unless anyone else... Did anyone else have anything else they wanted to say about prioritization of journey?
We could, if when we are in Flywatch, maybe that's a good place to send a message to Lunavir since they're fairly close by.
I think so. I think when we get to Flywatch, that's potentially a good opportunity to stop, kind of judge the climate. I haven't been south since before I can remember, but maybe new clothing for some of us. Make sure we're prepared to go into a city that's very different from Solni. What we've heard, what everyone has told us, it's going to be a bit more dangerous and maybe not the most welcoming to those of us who don't look like we belong. Was that he's kind of like eyeing Flo?
Flo's gonna be like,
Renastus also would probably stand out, wearing his more Solnian bright colors and stuff. The one other thing that I would mention, just to recap and clarify something that the Shining Hand, Blessafane, had said, was sort of that while you're down in the south, if you have time, to go check out Nerwal and see what happened to her missing agents. But just to clarify, the initial priority, at least from what your understanding was checking out. She didn't give you any order in which you had to do stuff, so it's totally up to you. But you guys did get the sense that that was the main thing she was recruiting you to do. Obviously, however you managed to do that is kind of up to you guys. She just cared about, and she offered a greater reward depending on the timeliness and thoroughness that you were able to achieve the various tasks that she gave you. So it's totally up to you what order you guys want to do that in, but I just want to make sure it's clear. Everyone feels like they're on the same page and stuff like that. So going to Nerwal and assessing the situation is a great first start as well. So just so that your guys are aware, what I'm getting at is if you go to Nerwal and then return like empty-handed with no knowledge of the lumens, you get the sense that she's probably going to be like not the happiest.
Gotcha.
So again, depends on what order you want to do it in. That's totally up to you guys. This is your story, but what she was prioritizing, I would say, just keep that in mind.
I mean, technically Nerwal is southeast.
It is.
That's my direction.
It is. Or at least the direction you're feeling some tugs. So, but you guys are starting to head out of the city. Is there anything else you guys wanted to do as you're heading out? Pay the lovely gate fee on the southern gate?
Before we leave the house, I'm going to
Okay.
leave a note for Uncle Galen
Okay.
that just kind of runs down. Going on a quest for the Shining Hand, going south. We'll let you know that I'm still alive. Should probably burn this. Bye. Slide under the door.
I like to imagine he reads it with that voice in his head too. Like, going on a march for the Shining Hand.
One sentence and
Yeah.
just like, please burn this.
While he's doing that, Anetka will bit verbally go through the itinerary with Bria and Nadia. Can I give him a goodbye and head out?
Well, Little Weaver, I'm excited for you to travel south, but I'm hoping that you have a better track record there than with your exploits, perhaps, in some of the more dangerous parts there. But I encourage you to take a few reckless opportunities. And Nadia's like, Bria, don't encourage her. But they both give you a big hug and wish you well and tell you that they love you very much.
And I'll go
Love you
find
guys too.
with Aeus and give him a hug. And very uncharacteristic hug.
Oh, you're making me get ink all over myself as he's like got his quill like touching his chin.
I might die, Lou.
Well,
Give me a hug.
don't do that.
Good advice.
I'll go throw away the dead rat.
It's fragrant, but you're able to toss it.
Take
Okay.
care of the snail, Lou.
Oh, will do. I'll see if I have any more notes for you by the time it comes back. Maybe it'll do a bit of a migration to a new new shell. I'm looking at purchasing a larger one for it to upgrade.
Sounds good.
All right, so you guys pick up your various sundries and various supplies and head to the southern gate. There's a smaller line exiting than there is entering. You see the sort of matronly half-orc woman that Flo had encountered when chasing after her lead. And once you guys get to, she's sort of, next. All right, paperwork, itinerary, things like that. You guys get to the front of the line. She says, "Adventurers by the looks of you, huh? Well, it's 2 gold ahead to get out. Any particular destination you'd like to declare?"
Fly watch.
Understood. Southbound, hey? Well, careful you don't get stained by the shadow there. And 2 gold a pop. 2 gold ahead to head on out.
1 platinum, 2 gold.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if somebody wants to try to bribe her, I'll just hand it over.
Okay, you hand over the money. Safe travels.
Low charisma party.
Yeah.
Flority.
Out of the party fund or
Out of the party fund.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we cashed out for
Yeah,
this
one
purpose.
plat and 2 just to get out of the city. Welcome to Solni. But as you guys...
Goodbye
to Solni, actually, as you turn you guys' backs to the Shining City and set your eyes on the southbound kind of road that originally led towards Bright Meadow. Heading along that space, you definitely notice the wide tent city that is beginning to form from refugees that cannot afford their way into the city. Various Vianthan caravans repurposed into housing, various tents, shadecloth and non, otherwise kind of shantytown-esque feeling to a lot of the formation of the refugees from the outside. You definitely notice a large Mirror Blade and Souls Guard patrol around this region in general, trying to keep everything in order, but looks like a couple, normal fistfights and frustrated shouting matches and stuff certainly branch out as people are getting questioned about their connections with the Shaded South and all of that. So keeping all of that in mind, you guys head out with the sunny, eternal light of this light band in Lemuria up ahead. The weather is fair. A slight wind and breeze helps ease out some of the harshest parts of the weather. You can definitely tell that the roads are severely well-traveled. Berry bushes that would normally be in bloom are picked clean. Spaces that are normally well-kept roads show heavy ruts and upturned flagstones. Spaces of churned up and stamped down earth to the sides of the roads as swells of people over-occupy its spaces. And you're kind of traveling in this opposite direction. And so you guys go for quite a bit. And in this sort of section, you're quite safe feeling with multiple Souls Guard and Mirror Blade. Well, I don't know how safe it makes all of you feel. But there's quite a lot of patrols that pass by and kind of give you glances and stuff like that. At one point, you even see what looks like another adventuring group heading off to the far west, kind of angling away. And you guys make it to the end of the first day or two's turning or two of journeying. I won't do the whole long rest or watches and stuff like that in this particular case because it's so heavily trafficked. You guys don't really run into too much trouble. But at some point on the second turning from your exit, second turning of the new shard, about middle of the day, you guys come to a familiar crossroads where the signposts veer towards Bright Meadow and other towns of Tinder Bluff, other towns, Shimmerleaf, other towns of the Shining Valley, the region of the fertile region right around Solni itself that supplies it with a lot of its resources. You guys have traveled a good 40 miles or something like that over this 2-day period. Let's have Slate go ahead and make a intelligence or perception check.
Okay. Back to my stats.
The start of the second turning, I would have wanted to cast
Of course.
Aid
Great.
on myself, Flo, and Chirps.
Okay, so +5
+5
health again to you. And you're
then-
back healed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Long rest benefits, everything that you got. So you guys should be full spell slots, full things prepared, everything that you need.
And
Does
then
that remind me? Does that increase your max?
It does.
Increases
Yeah,
your
so
max
which means
health.
you can get re-healed up to that maximum
for the next
amount
8
for
hours.
the
like,
8-hour
so
journey.
I'm at my
So if your normal health was 30, you'd be at 35.
for the
oh,
next
just like automatically.
automatically
Yeah,
for the next
until
8 hours.
until it goes away.
And then I would have given Vigilant Blessing to Slate that morning as well.
Okay,
I
so
would-
advantage on advantage on initiative checks if it comes up.
Okay.
I would probably be casting Mage Armor on myself every morning.
That's fine. Sounds good.
Clear, Nicholas, you said, sorry, intelligence or perception?
Either one.
Okay. That's simple.
What were you going to say, Renastus?
My experimental elixir today, I got a healing one, and then could you... I'm a little bit confused about turning tracking for my sweet little berry dream plant. I have here written 16 days since we were with, since I gave the fruit of that plant to Cassiel to give to Tomlin.
Yep.
How would you say that's accurate as far as your tracking?
I haven't gotten it from the start of the campaign. I'm just doing it by date. But I'd have to look it up. But yeah, I'd say that sounds accurate. It sounds like it's a reasonable estimation.
Ballpark, yeah.
I'll double check that. But yes, I appreciate it. Yes, your wavy hat plant. Those of you who probably donned on some shade cloth and stuff like that to help shield your eyes and your skin from the light, which is tough. Although there's occasional wisps of cloud that help break up with a little bit of shade and stuff like that. You're coming across a nice little stream and stuff like that as you made your way over. No sign of the great vertibacks amidst the copse of trees, perhaps deterred by the big influx of people now seeking different foliage. At the crossroads, though, you got a dirty 20. Okay. You look and just give a passing glance to the situation and, the bright eyes and lights and stuff like that. You're kind of, ugh. And something just tells you to look again and look a little closer this time. And with a 20, you see that there's an additional unmarked sign on the post that only you seem to be able to notice.
Uh-oh.
It looks like its name is smudged out completely, or else unable to be made out. You can't really determine what it is. With a 20, you made the next tier. You can also see that there is a paved road. Completely pristine, unshowing of any other travel from this various influx of people that is heading in the sort of southwestern direction that seems to point between where Bright Meadow and Shimmerleaf are.
Between what two cities again?
They're towns, Bright Meadow, where you guys went before, and Shimmerleaf. So if you want, I can show you. It'll be on the Sanctus map, which is the one I got handed back here. I'll show you. Alright, so showing the table, just briefly. So we got Solni over here, we've got Bright Meadow here, and we got Shimmerleaf here. So you guys went sort of this direction initially, and there's a branching road, and it would lead here towards Bright Meadow, and this direction towards Shimmerleaf, and Slate's seeing a third signpost that seems to head and go straight in between the two. So I'll let you see that as well. it's in Sarah. I'm just going to reach over a little bit. So Bright Meadow's here. The main road was going like this, and it branches off Bright Meadow this direction, Shimmerleaf that direction, and it's showing this almost redacted-looking named place or smudged name road. It seems to head, kind of splitting the difference between the two that you were noticing.
Okay. So guys, was that road always here?
Can we see it?
The rest of you are like, what road?
What
The
the one to Bright Meadow?
No,
Or
the
Shimmerleaf?
one, between those. It looked really nice looking, actually. I'm surprised no one's walking on it.
I'm gonna
Okay.
look at Slate and kind of look where he's pointing and cast See Invisibility.
Okay.
Just see what happens.
You cast See Invisibility. It does not appear to reveal anything additionally.
Okay. Can I look at Slate again? Look at the area? Like,
As you're looking, now that you're trying to look a little closer, go ahead and make a perception or investigation check, whichever's better for you. Remember, you're still in sunlight.
right. So it's a disadvantage.
Unless you want to do investigation.
That would not be great either. Perception is better for me. 7 is a 7. Yeah, 7 plus 6 is 13.
13. Unfortunately, you do not notice the signpost or road or anything like that. It just looks like unpaved terrain. The area here is mostly grassland and shrubbery, so it just looks like grassland and shrubbery to you.
I mean, we could walk in the grass, but I'm not sure I see the point. She's kind of staring where he's pointing to.
Can you do your thing and the magic thing?
Detect magic.
I'm sorry, he's like miming a drop spindle.
No, this way. Count it, and she'll pull out the drop spindle and cast detect magic in the.
Are you doing a ritual or?
Yeah, ritual.
Okay. So you take a little while to do that. What's everyone else doing while she's doing that?
Flo's gonna go draw on the dirt in the area that you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, you just drawing on the dirt. Anything in particular? Little cartoon
I'm
whale.
looking for a road, but like, yeah.
Okay.
Whale, little pirate
Make
ship.
a perception check.
I'm a whale.
Make a perception check.
What do I see what she's doing? That she's just like rubbing her finger on like a piece of stone or what?
6.
6?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Having fun.
It's like she's having fun with her art, literal street art. But it seems to be just to the side of the road itself, so it's actually just dirt and
She
grass.
missed it.
Yeah, she basically missed it with that roll. Renostus?
Ren's saying that we're gonna sit for a while. He's gonna take out his tools and start messing with his little bee some more.
Okay. He's like, you guys figure out this mystery. I'm gonna tinker with my bee. Nice. All right, so detect magic comes up. You are indeed detecting some pretty strong magic. In addition to the magic which comes up amongst everyone's items, including something around Slate's neck. But what most notably catches your eyes is the enchantment magic that seems to be laying on the signpost itself.
There's magic on the signpost. Did you get a new necklace?
No?
And then I'll take a closer look at the signpost and probably also at where Slate's saying the road is.
Go ahead and make a perception or investigation check, whichever's better for you.
Investigation. That's 17.
After looking and with the detect magic, you're at least able to tell that yes, there is another signpost. You don't see the road, but you do see another signpost. You don't see the name. Again, it's like smudged out for you. But it's that other post on the sign that seems to have some level of enchantment magic. And like the instant that you look away and then look back, you don't see anything else. And like it goes away, even with detect magic up. And you're like, I'm pretty sure I saw something. What were we talking about again? And you don't really. You saw what you saw, but you're just sort of like, oh.
We could keep going. I don't know. It's like
I'm
there
gonna,
could be something there.
Give Slate the Lorebright stone. Try touching the sign that you see.
I mean, it's right there. I don't know why you can't, but
Well,
sure.
just go for it.
I will attempt to apply
Okay.
the Floristone.
You touch it, and it seems to sort of like it's beginning to charge up a little thread, and then it just sort of like dissipates.
Wow.
Do we see the little wisp at all?
You do not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Slate, you're like you're like, how are you so dumb to not see this road?
It's literally right there, and it's beautiful. And I mean, it kind of looks like they head straight to maybe Lunabear,
Well,
which is not.
how
great,
about
but-
you go stand on it?
I mean, alright.
Oh, is this like the grass when you got the urge to dance?
Okay, that was amazing, and you know it.
He did have nice moves.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay, you start walking, and Anetka, especially, the rest of you are a little bit distracted. Tennille is also paying attention. Now you definitely hear it. It is the clump of Slate's heavy footfalls on stone, not grass. Despite you are clearly seeing it be grass.
Trippy.
Is that grass growing out of hard stone? Or, cause I can
What
you grass that, but it sounds like you're walking on a road.
I
It's
know.
happening.
That is exactly
Pull the
what I'm
goggles
doing.
on and like get down at like lay down at ground level and like stare where his feet are hitting the ground.
Make a persuasion check with this. Well,
Persuasion.
it would be fine. Oh, sorry, persuasion. Yeah, persuasion the ground. Reveal your secret, grass. Perception check, and not with disadvantage because you have your goggles on.
Oh, it was still terrible. 9.
9. Looks like grass, thickly patched, untraveled grass.
And that
Can
kind of
Leonosis get down there and look with her too?
Sure, perception check
Okay.
or investigation, whichever's better for you.
Can Flo skip to sleep?
Yeah, you start skipping, and it feels weird. It's like hard. You're looking down, and you see grass, and you see the tufts of grass move to your feet, but you like are stepping on
sound
plop,
like
plop,
the
plop,
same?
and it feels like your hard like heeled boot of a pirate's tall boot and stuff like that I presume you wear are like clapping on the stone.
Just
Like
gonna
to-
start like doing a little jig, like a pirate jig.
Yeah, it's like-
on the pivot.
It's muffled because it's still stone, but yeah.
Yeah.
Renostis, what'd you get?
Got a 17.
17. You also notice the signpost now, and again, its name is kind of smudged out, whatever town it points to, but you are certain that you did not notice it before and you do now. And you look at Slate and what he's doing and stuff like that, and you reach out and you like tap the grass maybe, or because you said you were pawing around and stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm like down on the ground with.
Yeah, so you saw the post and you tap the like thing, and the grass parts as you touching it, and is clearly like grass underneath to your eyes, but you are hearing and feeling like the rap of knuckles on stone.
And I'll like turn and look at Tennille like, do you see this?
I hear it. I'm like, don't.
Do you hear this?
No one go any farther. And I'm gonna pull out the tarot deck I got at Calisan's and ritual cast Augury and kind of meditate on, is walking down this road a stupid idea?
Yay.
Okay.
Guys, we have. What are you all on about?
Augury. I haven't known that. I haven't. This is the first time I'm using this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Ardia had it, but I never used it.
Yeah.
So.
And it's a ritual cast. I'm assuming you're ritual casting.
Resting in this small room with the mind flayer, good idea.
Shush.
Oh.
The DM chooses the result. You pull a card.
I have a tarot deck if you want.
That's okay. You pull a card that shows sun and shadow, representing weal and woe, good and bad. It's the card is truth in the dark, is what is what's written on it, but that's sort of a Solnian tarot reader's appropriation of, just like trying to put on a good show for the locals that they're reading the tarot for. So while you guys ponder that, I'm going to use the bathroom because the pressure's getting...
Well, if someone went to to the lengths of hiding this, there is either something very dangerous or very worthwhile down this road. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't think those are necessarily separate things.
I mean, if we go into it prepared and know that danger is around the corner, potentially.
I wonder if this has something to do with my dreams, since apparently I'm the only one that noticed it.
I'm
It's
a little
right there.
concerned
But
about your dreams. I'm concerned also about the noise of our clip-clopping feet.
I mean, just walk over to me. Give it a shot.
I'll give it a shot, but I don't know what the effect
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. No, Will's already next to you.
Ren's walking towards me.
Okay, Ren's walking towards you. Good idea with the augury.
Yes,
All right.
25 gold well spent.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Ren, you walk forward, and your shoes make a softer sound. You know, they're more like Solni and felt or whatever, sandal type. But they also you feel like it's not soft earth; it is stone.
Well, I guess I'll take point. Let's go.
In for a copper, in for a gold. Let's go.
Nice.
There's no way we can't. 'Cause I can see just fine. I don't know why you guys can't.
Maybe
If you guys can't,
let's
we gotta go.
let's try to walk quietly,
Okay,
just in case.
so you guys are gonna start traveling slowly. At slow pace, and go ahead and make a stealth check all the way around. I'll roll for Cackler. He's not particularly stealthy.
Neither am I. Oh boy.
Medium stealthy.
Mediocre stealthy.
15.
Natural 20.
Very nice.
Hey, 10.
10. Ren.
8.
Cackler got a 7 total.
12.
12. Overall, a mixed group, you know.
She puts on slippers.
Yeah, Cackler is sort of clanging around with his, like, crossbow and metal equipment and stuff, and just sort of, like, clunking around as you guys travel for a good while. And the road seems to bend a little bit, and it's hard to feel certain how long you're on the road for, particularly those of you who can't see it. It's a longer time, and the terrain seems perfectly mundane to all of you but Slate. Slate, you notice that instead of the grassland and shrubbery and stuff like that, over time you're beginning to see what looks like a bowl of a valley that you're starting to crest over a little bit of a hill. And you don't get too much of a view other than to say that you're rounding a few small hills and stuff and getting to a spot with some trees, but looks like there's some like fence line of iron fence around certain parts of the trees. And after a little while, you come to what looks like the edge of somehow an uncharted wood that's not on your guys' map. At the nearest end towards you guys, just past, so I'll cover it in a little thing. So in the nearest end towards you guys, you see a unusual looking, get to the right section. You catch a sort of glimpse of shade amongst these trees, maybe a respite from the ever-present sun. You notice something strange about the shadows. They're sort of thicker than normal and extend in every direction out from one particularly gnarled tree that is lacking in leaves. And it's surrounded by cut stumps that look rotted in the dark, stained soil that's around them. The road seems to lead straight past it, and beyond it looks like it's kind of overgrown hedges and a sort of wrought iron fence that seems to be overgrown, and it seems to have some kind of sign on it, but it's a little bit far for you to read from this distance. What you're more closely occupied by is that the tree there, that gnarled branchless tree amidst the stumps, and you see that the ground under your feet seems to have unusual shadows beginning to cast in like wayward spiraling directions out from where you're standing. All of you are beginning to notice this. All of you can see the tree, but you don't see the rest of the forest. You just see a tree amidst the stumps. You also notice what looks like shale and rust strewn about the base of the tree, and what appear to be roughly a half dozen severed heads suspended from ropes within the tree's branches.
That escalated.
At the tallest bough, there is a bejeweled and magnificent war helm of ancient make, and seems to emit its own dark hail of opalescent light. The ground seems to be dark and rusty red, similar to what you saw at Bright Meadow, and similar to maybe the surface of like a scorched desert, but also steeped in an almost blackened looking shadow. So that's what you're seeing. So you're seeing that amidst some stumps, and then a little bit farther on, the road continues, and you're seeing that overgrown hedges, the vines, the thicket, and normal trees behind it with leaves, and a wrought iron fence that's overgrown with a sign on it of some kind.
And so they're just seeing the tree and the stumps.
They're just seeing the tree and the stumps. They don't see anything farther beyond.
Can we see the heads?
You can see the heads, yes, and the very ornate and old-looking warhelm. It's an open-face warhelm. It's got sort of winged adornment and filigree on it.
Everyone else can see the severed heads, right?
Yeah.
Very much so.
See
yes.
those heads.
Yep.
Yeah, let's not.
I'm gonna take out the Low-Bright Stone and touch it to the ground below us, which you said is kind of like shadowy.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna touch it to the ground and so you imagine maybe gently.
Okay, you touch it to the ground. It flashes, but no thread comes in.
Okay.
You get the sense that you've already checked ground like this before.
Gotcha, okay.
Rebecca is trying to think back. Any weird stories Bria and Nadia told her? Any history? Anything about lost roads or cities or creepy trees or severed heads? Just trying
Go ahead and make a history check.
Just trying to puzzle out anything about this situation.
Do these heads look like they've been there a while?
Make a perception check.
13 on the history.
Nothing rings a bell. You have no memory of this location. It's not a plotted wood on any maps. You come from this location, so you would know at least the local towns and regions and stuff like that. Not ringing any bells.
18.
18. The heads look somewhat fresh-ish. Some of them decayed. Not entirely humanoid either. One seems to have an almost pallorish green to it, with like a fang and long, like ropey, dreadlocky kind of hair. And another one seems to be unusual, with like a 3-row of mismatched eyes coming diagonally down its face, and its mouth is like distended slightly to the side. It's like a purplish black, that one. And there's a third head, there's 3 heads total, that seem to have any kind of flesh on them. There are skulls and stuff hanging in the trees as well, but the 3 that have flesh are the 2 that I just described, and one that looks like a human of Solnian or Radiant Reach kind of descent. You know, tanner skin, brownish curly hair, kind of that kind of complexion, neatly cropped beard, but clearly dead, so as the severed head would indicate. Well, I was talking about a beard, so I want to just reiterate, like, this is still a dead head. So.
Hey, Tiny, are you seeing anything beside the head tree?
I mean, it just seems like the tree and the bodies, and the forest behind it. But
The what?
What?
oh god damn it! There's lots of trees in one location.
We know what a forest is.
We don't
say that.
We
but
don't.
There's one right there.
We don't see it.
Right there.
Yeah, it's just the tree and the severed heads.
There's this whole like fencing thing going on, shrubs and such. It's all overgrown, kind of nice looking. There's a sign over there. I don't know what it says, but
Maybe we should go look at
Would
the sign.
you want to go look? Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested in this spooky tree. But sure, we can go take a look. Or I guess I will.
Yeah, so the fence and all that kind of stuff is another like 60 feet past the tree.
It would have to pass like past the tree.
Especially if you're following the road. The road goes right past the tree.
I'll relay that.
We could all go with you. I wouldn't want to send you there alone.
So
Let's look around the base of this tree so we see if we can find any personal effects or any items that might help us figure out what's going on here. Can I look around the area?
Did you want to look from afar or go up and kind of like shift the shale and stuff at the base of the tree to see what's there?
I wanted to go up and shift the shale.
Shift the shale?
Shift the shale.
What a shale shifter.
That's
So-
what they say.
As you get closer and closer to the tree, you hear a kind of like tearing
Oh boy.
as the roots of the tree pull out of the ground and begin to lash around chaotically. A huge branch, as you get within close enough reach, comes walloping down toward you. And as it does, you notice the 3 intact heads pull off their ropes and float towards you guys with their mouths gnashing. And we're going to go ahead and roll initiative.
You have advantage.
Thank you.
As
Good
I-
call on that one.
I
As
love
always.
that, but I hate that.
Natural one.
That's a natural one.
How far you fall?
So different from Lonnie.
That would be at least an 11. Oh. Okay.
At least an 11 with a nat 1.
Must be nice.
Ridiculous.
I weirdly roll better for Anetka despite her. No,
It's
Tana
a
has
fun
an
thing.
initiative bonus and Anetka doesn't, and yet.
It's a
So,
fun thing.
given the hour, it's 8:50 now, so I'm going to get the initiative rolls now. But then we are going to pick up next time with the combat right at the start. We're going to end a little bit early to make sure that we start off with a bang and that we have enough time for combat and time for everyone to get home safely and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get the initiative rolls from the party with 25 to 20. I'll roll for Cackler.
That's a good sign.
He's not going first, I can tell you that.
You get the night roll when he comes next week.
Yeah, that's probably more fair to poor Nate. Okay, 25 to 20. 20 to 15.
17!
All right, Annette with the 17.
15.
Slate with 15. Great. Okay. 15 to 10. Ooh.
Solid.
10 to 5?
Everyone
7.
else was just like, man, this tree with the severed heads.
7
it's
for
not
Flo.
dangerous at all.
Okay.
They're distracted by the invisible ones.
That's it for
Can't-
10 to
can't see
5?
the-
Okay, 5 to 0.
Forest.
3.
Exactly.
3 for Tennille. Renastus?
I got a 2. He was real spooked.
Okay.
Welcome to my world.
So we are gonna. You're gonna be closest to the tree as it attacks. It's gonna get an attack, and we'll start. I'll at least cover that. That's gonna be a 14 to hit.
That is my armor class. I can't remember which side it goes to.
It hits.
It hits.
Ooh, I
All right. So you're gonna start with taking 11 points of bludgeoning damage from this tree at the start of the combat. And then we'll start combat. So it like Whomping Willow.
Aid should still be up.
Yeah, Aid would still be up in this time. So Whomping Willow just crash through, and you get walloped, and we are going to pick up there with the following session. So thank you guys for tuning in there at home. Pardon the suspense, but I'd rather start with a combat and have enough time to see it through rather than end and try and push it with the party. So stay tuned, and we'll see what happens with this combat and what's going on with this weird and hard to detect road and shrubbery. So thanks everyone for tuning in. You can find us at Instagram, YouTube, and online at DragonPoetSociety. We usually try and get these up in the next couple days on the YouTube. But yeah, stay on the lookout for Instagram. I think we're going to also have a couple of the rest of the party miniatures painted and posted up there. So have a look for that. And I think our lovely cat has quite a few character arts. We're still waiting for Slate. Brandon, cough, cough. But we should we should have that ready here for you guys soon. So thank you so much for listening and watching and all that. Free for you to share this with your friends, with your enemies, blah blah blah. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Good night.
Good night.